Family Farm, the true tree of the immortal dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176, 3rd level spell. Changsheng added, because this 3rd level high grade magic weapon is a rare treasure, even an early stage cultivator of the Ye Changsheng like Ye Changsheng can activate it. If there are sufficient spiritual stones, I suggest refining the 3rd level high grade sacred sand gourd. After Ye Changsheng listened to the 3 plans, he thought for a while. Master, I choose the 3rd option. Ye Changsheng said firmly. He immediately took out 500,000 spiritual stones as a deposit and agreed with Changsheng to collect the complete sacred sand gourd in half a year after the deal was concluded. The two chatted for a while. Changsheng enthusiastically invited Ye Changsheng to visit the weapon refining room of Hanglu Pavilion and explained some basic knowledge of weapon refining in detail. Ye Changsheng benefited a lot and developed a strong interest in weapon refining. When leaving, Changsheng presented Ye Changsheng with a jade slip for communication and told him, if anything happens during the refining process, I will inform my friends immediately. Ye Changsheng thanked him gratefully, then said goodbye to Changsheng and left Linxio Immortal City. As he set out on his way home, his heart was filled with anticipation, and he couldn't wait to see the power of the divine sand gourd in half a year. After half a month's flight, Ye Changsheng returned to the Ye family. After returning to the Ye family, Ye Changsheng began to practice 3rd level spells. As we all know, 3rd level spells are much more powerful than 2nd level spells, and to be successful requires practitioners to have a deeper understanding of the Tao. The relationship between Tao and 3rd level magic is inseparable. The deeper a practitioner understands Tao, the easier it will be to cast 3rd level spells. Tao can be understood as the law of the universe and the origin of all things. It is through a deep understanding of the Tao that 3rd level spells can mobilize more powerful natural forces, thus producing power that far exceeds that of 2nd level spells. Ye Changsheng knew this very well. So when he began to practice 3rd level magic, he first meditated quietly, trying to deepen his understanding of the Tao. He chose to practice the 3rd level fire dragon technique first, which is a powerful offensive spell. Ye Changsheng sat cross-legged in the training room, closed his eyes and concentrated, feeling the flow of fire element in his body. He recalled a record from Daozang. Fire is not only the power of destruction, but also the source of life. Only by understanding the nature of fire can you control the power of the fire dragon. As time passed, Ye Changsheng gradually realized the profound meaning of the Tao of Fire. He realized that fire is not only burning and destroying, but also represents enthusiasm, vitality, and hope. This understanding enabled him to no longer simply pursue destructive power when performing the fire dragon technique, but to integrate the vitality of life into it. A month later, Ye Changsheng successfully summoned the prototype of the fire dragon for the first time. Although this fire dragon is only about 10 feet long, it already possesses a certain degree of spirituality and can act according to Ye Changsheng's will. However, Ye Changsheng was not satisfied with this. He continued to study the way of fire in depth, trying to make the fire dragon more powerful. 3 months have passed, and Ye Changsheng's fire dragon technique has made significant progress. He can now summon a huge fire dragon that is 10 feet long. The dragon's body is wrapped in blazing flames, and the air is distorted. Wherever it goes, this fire dragon can not only cause huge damage, but also be flexible in battle, providing Ye Changsheng with powerful combat support. Half a year later, Ye Changsheng's fire dragon technique had reached the level of proficiency. Not only could he control the fire dragon at will, he also understood the secret of the fire dragon's clone. In battle, Ye Changsheng can summon 3 fire dragons at the same time, which greatly increases the power and flexibility of the spell. His 3rd level fire dragon technique has been mastered. After successfully mastering the fire dragon technique, Ye Changsheng began to practice the 3rd level golden spear technique. This is a spell that is both offensive and defensive, requiring practitioners to have a deep understanding of the way of gold. Ye Changsheng recalled the words recorded by Taozang. Gold is hard and sharp, symbolizing perseverance and unstoppable edge. However, if gold is not tempered, it is easy to break. Therefore, when practicing golden spear skills, you must not only pursue sharpness, but also pursue know how to be flexible. With this understanding, Ye Changsheng began to practice the golden spear technique. At first, he could only condense a short golden gun. Although it was sharp, it lacked flexibility. Ye Changsheng was not discouraged. He kept thinking about the true meaning of the golden way, trying to find softness in the hardness. A month later, Ye Changsheng's golden spear skills had improved significantly. He can summon a 3-foot-long golden spear, which is not only strong and sharp, but can also change its shape at will. This golden gun can turn into countless tiny golden needles when attacking, and it can also turn into an indestructible golden shield. When defending. 3 months have passed, and Ye Changsheng's golden spear skills have improved to a higher level. He can now control multiple golden guns at the same time and weave an airtight golden net that can both attack and defend. This endlessly changing characteristic makes the golden spear technique one of Ye Changsheng's most important spells. Half a year later, Ye Changsheng's golden spear skills had reached a state of perfection. Not only could he control the golden gun at will, he also understood the secret of the golden gun's transformation. In battle, Ye Changsheng can turn the golden gun into various weapons, such as knives, swords, axes, halberds, etc., which greatly increases the diversity and unpredictability of battles. In the process of practicing the golden spear technique, Ye Changsheng also deeply understood the principle of soft on the outside but strong on the inside. He understood that a truly strong man must not only have an indomitable will, but also have a generous and kind heart. This awareness made his golden spear technique not only more powerful, but also more agile and intelligent. Ye Changsheng's second level 3 spell, Golden Spear Technique, was also mastered. Finally, Ye Changsheng began to practice the third level Wooden Cage Technique. This is a highly defensive spell that requires the practitioner to have a deep understanding of the way of wood. Ye Changsheng remembered that Dao Zhang once said, "Wood, endless, symbolizes vitality and tolerance." To practice the wooden cage technique, one must not only pursue firmness, but also understand growth and adaptation. With this understanding, Ye Changsheng began to practice the wooden cage technique. At first, he could only summon a simple wooden barrier, which could block some attacks, but was easily destroyed by force. Ye Changsheng was not discouraged. He kept thinking about the true meaning of the way of wood, and tried to integrate the vitality of life into defense. A month later, Ye Changsheng's wooden cage technique had made significant progress. He was able to summon a huge wooden cage with a diameter of 5 feet, which was not only strong and durable, but also could automatically repair damaged parts. This wooden cage could protect Ye Changsheng and his companions, and provide them with a safe shelter. 3 months later, Ye Changsheng's wooden cage technique was more advanced. He was now able to control the shape of the wooden cage, so that it could adapt to various terrains and combat environments, whether on flat ground, in mountains or in water. The wooden cage can quickly adjust its shape to provide the best protection for the user. Half a year later, Ye Changsheng's wooden cage technique has reached a superb level. Chapter 177, Treasure Hunt. Not only could he control the wooden cage at will, he also understood the secret of the wooden cage's counterattack. When attacked, the wooden cage can grow spikes or vines, which can not only defend, but also fight back against the enemy. In the process of practicing the wooden cage technique, Ye Changsheng also deeply understood the principle of hardness and softness. He understood that a true defense must not only be impregnable, but must also be able to adapt to change. This awareness made his wooden cage technique not only more defensive, but also more flexible and intelligent. By practicing these 3 third-level spells, Ye Changsheng not only greatly increased his strength, but more importantly, his understanding of Tao became deeper. After practicing the wooden cage technique, Ye Changsheng found that 1.5 years had passed, and 1 year had passed since the 6 months agreed with Han Glufang. It only took him 1.5 years to practice 3 third-level spells. Sure enough, as the monks reached higher levels, the retreat time became longer and longer each time, often lasting several years. This was Ye Changsheng's first serious retreat in Babui, after he advanced to the Zifu stage. Unexpectedly, he failed to seize the time point. In fact, there are still many spells that Ye Changsheng needs to practice, but Ye Changsheng is not ready to continue practicing, so it is better to retrieve the sacred sand god first. So Ye Changsheng quickly took control of the galaxy flying boat and flew towards Linxio Immortal City at lightning speed. After half a month's flight, Ye Changsheng arrived at Hanglu Pavilion again. Fellow Taoist hasn't come for a year. I thought something happened to fellow Taoist, Jen. Hang said with a smile. I'm really sorry, Master Jen. It was my first time practicing magic, and I forgot the time. My sin, Ye Changsheng apologized. It's okay. It's really time consuming to advance to Zifu retreat. I understand that. Besides, in a line of business, it's not uncommon for customers to come late. You've been delayed for a year, which is already very good. I have the longest record. Someone delayed for more than 20 years before coming. Jen Hang said with a smile. This is the divine sand god that has been refined. The refining effect is ideal. It is a 3rd level high grade treasure god. Fellow Daoist Yi, you can try it out. Ye Changsheng carefully took the sacred sand god and looked at it carefully. This 3rd level high grade magic weapon is a deep dark green in color, with a surface as smooth as jade, and fine lines can be vaguely seen, like the reflection of a galaxy. The mouth of the god is inlaid with a circle of colorful gems, each emitting a different light and reflecting each other. The god is engraved with mysterious and complex runes, forming a annihilation array of all things, with a faint aura of destruction flowing through it. When Ye Changsheng injected spiritual power into it, the god shook slightly, and wisps of black sacred sand spilled out from the mouth of the god and floated in the air. These sacred sands may seem ordinary, but in fact they contain powerful power of annihilation, capable of eroding both the physical body and the soul at the same time. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but be secretly shocked. The power of this magic weapon was indeed well deserved. He shook the god gently and heard a squeaking sound, as if there were countless fine sand flowing in it. The capacity of a god far exceeds its surface size, and there are caves inside that can accommodate a large number of items. Attracting people and things is its strength. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction. This magic weapon was excellent in terms of attack power and practicality. Ye Changsheng happily paid the remaining 1 million spiritual stones. Although it sounded like a lot, it was equivalent to 10,000 high-grade spiritual stones when converted into high-grade spiritual stones for a 3rd level high-grade magic weapon. This price can be said to be worth it. Master Jen, thank you for your careful refining. This sacred sand god is indeed extraordinary. Ye Changsheng thanked him sincerely. Jehang smiled and waved his hand. You're welcome, fellow Daoist Yi. It's my honor to be able to refine such a treasure. If you need anything in the future, just come to me. After the two exchanged contact information, Ye Changsheng said goodbye and left. He piloted the galaxy flying boat and quickly flew away from Linxio Immortal City. On the way back, Ye Changsheng was studying the newly obtained sacred sand god. While flying on the flying boat, he tried to stimulate the god's power in different ways, sometimes releasing a wisp of divine sand and sometimes withdrawing it. Every time he manipulates it, Ye Changsheng can feel the powerful power contained in this magic weapon. However, just as Ye Changsheng was flying over Wei County, a sudden crisis interrupted his research. A huge 3rd level low grade vulture rushed out of nowhere and pounds towards Ye Changsheng. This vulture has a wingspan of more than 10 feet. Its claws are like hooks, and its eyes are glowing with blood red light. It is obviously a ferocious monster. Ye Changsheng was caught off guard and hurriedly put away the sacred sand god, and at the same time activated the Hanshang flying sword to meet the enemy. The cold light flashed, and the flying sword was like lightning, heading straight for the vulture's throat. However, the vulture reacted very quickly and avoided the fatal blow by turning sideways. Roar! The vulture let out a piercing scream, spread its wings suddenly, and shot countless feathers at Ye Changsheng like arrows. Ye Changsheng quickly used his body skills to dodge, and at the same time quickly formed a seal, and a fire dragon spurted out from his palm to meet the feathers. Boom! The fire dragon collided with the feather, and a violent explosion erupted. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ye Changsheng once again drove the flying sword and used the golden spear technique at the same time. Dozens of golden lights condensed into sharp spears and pierced the vulture together with a flying sword point. The vulture let out a painful scream and was stabbed in many places, bleeding profusely. However, this fierce monster did not back down, but became more and more violent. It swooped down suddenly, its claws going straight to Ye Changsheng's face. At the critical moment, Ye Changsheng performed the wooden cage technique, and dozens of thick vines emerged out of thin air, entangled the vulture's claws. However, the vulture was extremely powerful and broke free from the vines in a few strokes. The battle fell into a stalemate. Although Ye Changsheng had just advanced to the early stage of the Purple Mansion, his cultivation was not as good as this third level inferior vulture. After all, he controlled the flying boat to dodge while performing various spells to counterattack, but he could never gain the upper hand. The vulture's claws brushed against Ye Changsheng's sleeves and almost scratched him. Ye Changsheng was shocked and knew that he had reached a critical moment. At this moment, he suddenly remembered the magic sand good he had just obtained. Well, let me use you to test the power of this new magic weapon. Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth, took out the magic sand good, and infused spiritual power. A large amount of black magic sand was instantly ejected from the good mouth, like a black torrent, sweeping towards the vulture. The vulture seemed to sense the danger and wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Hiss! With a shrill scream, the vulture was swallowed by the magic sand. Ye Changsheng stared in amazement and saw that the magic sand was like countless tiny insects, quickly eroding the vulture's body. In just a few breaths, this powerful monster turned into a pile of bones, and then even the bones were corroded. Chapter 178, Third Order Zhuanggang Sword. Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He looked at the magic sand good in his hand with lingering fear and couldn't help but sigh at the powerful power of this magic weapon. This time, he hit a vulture by surprise, otherwise the magic sand attack would be difficult to land. The correct way to use this magic sand good is to forcefully suck the opponent in first. However, while feeling fortunate, Ye Changsheng also realized his negligence. I was too careless, he thought to himself. If I had brought 6 third level fire crows or practiced U0027 12 mysterious light swords U0027 to the third level, I wouldn't be so embarrassed. Thinking of this, Ye Changsheng didn't dare to delay any longer and hurriedly accelerated back to the Ye family. This experience made him deeply realize that he couldn't relax for a moment on the road of cultivation. Ye Changsheng returned to the Ye family. After a day of breathing in the retreat room, he moved his mind and came to the fairy tree space again. He checked the situation of the fairy dew and found that he had accumulated 1 drop of 4th level fairy dew and 19 drops of 3rd level fairy dew. Ye Changsheng took out 4 drops of 3rd level fairy dew and 4 seeds of sword grass. He had already inquired that sword grass was a multi-level living plant, and dropping 3rd level fairy dew would definitely give birth to 3rd level sword grass. Sure enough, when he dropped a drop of 3rd level fairy dew into each of them, the 4 sword grasses grew rapidly, and their auras showed the 3rd level. Ye Changsheng carefully collected the 4 3rd level sword grasses. Then, Ye Changsheng left the fairy tree space with a thought, sat on the altar of the heavenly palace, and came to the heavenly palace. According to the Zifu Changsheng Sutra, in addition to the leaves of sword grass, the refining of the 3rd level 12 mysterious light swords also requires more than a dozen precious 3rd level ores. Moreover, the refining of 3rd level swords is different from that of 2nd level swords and requires a special 3rd level refining furnace. Ye Changsheng came to the Wanbao Tower on the 2nd to last floor of the heavenly palace again. Ye Changsheng walked into the store and saw all kinds of rare treasures on display. He walked straight to the counter and asked the shopkeeper about the 3rd level refining furnace. The shopkeeper's eyes lit up and he smiled. This young man has a good eye. The 3rd level refining furnace is a rare item. We have 5 types here. Which one do you think is suitable? He took out a thick booklet, opened it, pointed to the pattern in it and introduced. This is U0027 9 Dragon Flame Furnace U0027, 3rd level top grade, with extremely high refining efficiency, but the price is not cheap, requiring 150,000 top grade spirit stones. Ye Changsheng shook his head slightly and indicated to continue. The shopkeeper pointed to the second one. This is U0027 Purple Sky Thunder Sound Furnace U0027. Third level middle grade, characterized by the ability to integrate thunder power, suitable for refining magic weapons with thunder attributes. And the price is 80,000 top grade spirit stones. Ye Changsheng seemed to be thinking, but still had not made a decision. This is U0027 5 element gathering spirit furnace U0027. Also a third level medium grade product, which can harmonize the power of the 5 element and make the refining of weapons more balanced. The price is 75,000 high grade spirit stones. The shopkeeper continued to introduce. There is also this U0027 mysterious ice cold flame furnace U0027, a third level medium grade product, suitable for refining ice attribute magic weapons, and the price is 70,000 high grade spirit stones. Finally, the shopkeeper pointed to the last pattern man. Said, this is U0027 Red Sun True Fire Furnace U0027, a third level medium grade product, with strong firepower, suitable for refining various magic weapons, and the price is 60,000 high grade spirit stones. After careful consideration, Ye Changsheng chose the Red Sun True Fire Furnace. He felt that this refining furnace had the highest cost effectiveness and a wide range of applications. The shopkeeper happily took out the refining furnace, and Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction after careful inspection. Just as he was about to pay, the shopkeeper suddenly asked, "Sir, do you have a third level earth fire at home? If not, I'm afraid this refining furnace will not be able to exert its power." Ye Changsheng then realized that he had overlooked this point and shook his head slightly embarrassedly. The shopkeeper smiled and said, "It's okay. We also have third level fire spirit stones for sale here. 1000 top grade spirit stones per catty. How many catties do you want?" Ye Changsheng thought about it and decided to buy 5 catties in case of emergency. The shopkeeper explained in detail how to use the refining furnace and fire spirit stones, and Ye Changsheng took notes carefully. In the end, he spent 65,000 top grade spirit stones to buy the refining furnace and fire spirit stones. After leaving Wanbao Lao, Ye Changsheng came to a shop specializing in selling third level spirit ores. The owner was an old man who was proficient in ores. When he saw Ye Changsheng coming in, he greeted him enthusiastically. Ye Changsheng took out the list he had prepared in advance and began to ask one by one, "Excuse me, do you have U0027 Purple Star Silver U0027? The old man nodded. "Yes, this is the best material for refining magic weapons. 3000 high quality spirit stones per catty." Ye Changsheng continued to ask, "What about U0027 Azure Dragon Wood U0027? "Yes, U0027 Azure Dragon Wood U0027 is extremely tough and suitable for refining sword type magic weapons. 5000 high quality spirit stones per piece." Next, Ye Changsheng asked about red flame iron, ice soul crystal, purple gold sand, bronze essence, blue sea coral, thunder essence and other rare third level ores. The old man answered one by one, and some even took out samples for Ye Changsheng to look at. Each ore has its own unique properties and uses, and the price is also different. After careful consideration, Ye Changsheng finally decided to buy these ore spiritual materials. After careful calculation by the old man, the total price was 28,000 top grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng happily paid the spiritual stones and carefully put away these precious ores before leaving. The old man also gave Ye Changsheng a third level ore application guide and told him to study it carefully. Ye Changsheng thanked him gratefully and left the store. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath, calmed down, and began the process of refining the third level 12 Zhuanggang swords. He first placed the third level refining furnace in the center of the retreat room, then carefully took out 5 pounds of fire essence stone and put part of it into the specific position of the refining furnace according to the method taught by the shopkeeper. With the addition of fire essence stone, the refining furnace began to emit a slight humming sound, and a hot breath emanated from the furnace. Ye Changsheng closed his eyes and felt the temperature change of the refining furnace. When the temperature reached the appropriate level, He opened his eyes and began to put the prepared materials into the furnace one by one. First, there were 12 leaves of the 3rd level sword grass, which were the main materials of the Zhuanggang sword. Ye Changsheng carefully put each leaf into the furnace, and every time he put one in, he could feel a sharp sword energy emanating from the furnace. Next, Ye Changsheng began to add various precious 3rd level ores. First was the ice soul crystal, which was light blue and emitted a trace of cold air. Ye Changsheng grinds it into powder and sprinkles it evenly into the furnace. Then comes the purple gold sand, which is purple gold in color and glitters with a charming luster. Ye Changsheng also sprinkles it evenly into the furnace. Next comes the addition of more than 10 other rare 3rd level spiritual materials such as red flame iron. Finally, there is bronze essence, which is green in color and exudes an ancient atmosphere. Ye Changsheng cuts it into small pieces and puts them into the furnace one by one. With the addition of these main materials, the temperature in the refining furnace began to rise sharply, and Ye Changsheng had to step back a few steps to avoid being burned by the hot air waves. Chapter 179 12 Mysterious Lights Gathering Spirit Array. He took a deep breath and began to chant the refining spell, while his hands formed seals to guide the materials in the furnace to begin to merge. The materials in the furnace began to melt under high temperature, forming a ball of hot liquid. Ye Changsheng carefully controlled the temperature and from time to time added some auxiliary materials such as dragon bloodstone, star sand, etc., which can enhance the toughness and sharpness of the Zhuan Guang sword. As time passed, the liquid in the furnace began to change, gradually forming 12 sword-shaped lights. Ye Changsheng knew that this was the prototype of the Zhuan Guang sword. He increased the input of mana and accelerated the speed of chanting, guiding the 12 sword-shaped lights to gradually condense. At this moment, Ye Changsheng suddenly remembered an important thing. He quickly took out the 12 2nd level Zhuan Guang swords he had refined before from the storage bag. Although these swords were of lower grade, they contained Ye Changsheng's hard work and understanding of the sword. He put these 12 swords into the furnace one by one, hoping to integrate their essence into the new 3rd level Zhuan Guang sword. With the addition of the 2nd level Zhuan Guang sword, the reaction in the furnace became more intense. The 12 sword-shaped lights began to vibrate violently, as if they were merging with the newly added sword soul. Ye Changsheng felt a powerful sword intent burst out from the furnace, and he had to concentrate and carefully control this power to avoid refining failure. Time passed by, and Ye Changsheng's forehead was covered with sweat. The difficulty of refining a 3rd level magic weapon was far beyond his imagination, but he did not give up. He kept adjusting the input of mana, sometimes increasing, sometimes decreasing, and adjusting the refining process according to the reaction in the furnace. Finally, after 3 days and 3 nights of unremitting efforts, the sword-shaped light in the furnace began to gradually stabilize. Ye Changsheng knew that this meant that the refining was about to be completed. He took a deep breath and began to chant the last spell to guide the 12 Zhuan Guang swords to finally take shape. With a crisp sword sound, 12 sword lights flew out of the furnace and circled in the air. Ye Changsheng opened his eyes and carefully observed the state of each sword. The 12 swords were light green, with purple gold lines flowing on them, and ice blue light flashing at the tips. Each sword exuded a sharp sword aura, as if it could cut through everything. Ye Changsheng stretched out his hand, and the 12 Zhuanggang swords immediately flew to his side and slowly rotated around him. He could feel the connection between these swords and himself, as if they had become a part of his body. Ye Changsheng tried to control these swords, and the 12 swords immediately began to change their formations according to his wishes. Sometimes they turned into a sword lotus, and sometimes they formed a sword wheel. Each change showed powerful attack and defense. Ye Changsheng was overjoyed, and he knew that this refining had been successful. Observing their auras, they all reached the level of the 3rd grade lower grade. Although they were only the 3rd grade lower grade, the 12 swords combined were more powerful than the 3rd grade middle grade magic weapon. This is the power of high level skills, which provides practitioners with a basis for cross-level challenges. Moreover, these 12 3rd level Zhuan Guang swords not only inherited the power of the original Zhuan Guang sword formation, but also greatly increased their power because they were integrated with third level materials and his own understanding of swordsmanship. However, just when Ye Changsheng was about to put away these swords, he suddenly felt a strange power. I saw the 12 Zuanguang swords suddenly gathered together to form a strange formation. Ye Changsheng was surprised to find that this formation was actually a high-level sword formation recorded in the Zifu Changsheng Sutra. 12 Zuanguang Gathering Spirit Formation. This sword formation can not only exert the maximum power of the 12 Zuanguang swords, but also absorb the surrounding spiritual energy and continuously enhance the power of the sword formation. Ye Changsheng did not expect that he had accidentally refined such a powerful sword formation. Ye Changsheng was excited and immediately began to try to control this sword formation. I saw the 12 swords flying in the air, sometimes turning into a sword light and sometimes forming a defensive shield. Each change showed amazing power, far exceeding Ye Changsheng's expectations. After some attempts, Ye Changsheng finally mastered the basic usage of this sword formation. He was secretly happy in his heart, knowing that with this set of sword formation, his strength would definitely be greatly improved. Ye Changsheng carefully put the 12 Zuanguang swords into the storage bag, and then began to clean up the refining site. He kept the remaining fire essence stones and some unused materials properly for future use. Although the whole refining process was difficult, the harvest was huge. Ye Changsheng successfully refined the third level Zuanguang sword and mastered a powerful sword formation. Ye Changsheng sat down and began to carefully review the entire refining process. He recorded his insights and experiences for future reference. At the same time, he also began to think about how to better use this set of sword formations and how to combine it with his other skills. Ye Changsheng fell into practice again. A month later, Ye Changsheng woke up from deep retreat because he received a message from his grandfather Ye Jiu. Ye Changsheng hurried to his grandfather's tiger garden. Ye Changsheng walked quickly into the tiger garden and saw his grandfather Ye Jiu sitting under an old tree, resting his eyes peacefully. Hearing the footsteps, Ye Jiu slowly opened his eyes and looked at his grandson kindly. "Grandpa, I'm late. Please forgive me." Ye Changsheng bowed respectfully. Ye Jiu waved his hand and smiled. "It's okay, I know you are in seclusion. Come, sit down and talk." Ye Changsheng sat down as he was told and asked curiously, "Grandpa, you suddenly summoned me, but what's the important matter?" Ye Jiu took a deep breath, a trace of joy flashed in his eyes, and said, "Changsheng, Grandpa has good news to tell you. I have reached the 9th level of foundation building for almost a year, and recently I feel that I have touched the threshold of the peak of foundation building. I think it's time to prepare for the advancement to the Purple Mansion." Ye Changsheng was overjoyed when he heard this. It is a great joy for the entire Ye family that Grandpa can break through the Purple Mansion at this age. He said excitedly, "Congratulations, Grandpa. This is great. I will go and prepare the spiritual medicine needed for the advancement to the Purple Palace." Ye Jiu nodded with satisfaction and said, "No hurry, no hurry. I still need some time to consolidate my realm. You go and prepare first, and I will notify you when everything is ready." Ye Changsheng replied respectfully, "Yes, Grandpa. Grandson will definitely prepare everything as soon as possible." After saying goodbye to his grandfather, Ye Changsheng immediately returned to his retreat room. He knew that preparing spiritual medicine for his grandfather to advance to the Purple Palace was an extremely important matter and could not be sloppy. Back in the retreat room, Ye Changsheng walked straight to the Xiangang altar in the corner. Ye Changsheng sat cross-legged on the altar, closed his eyes and concentrated, and soon came to the Xiangang. Chapter 180 Ye Jiu breaks through. Ye Changsheng came to the second to last floor of the Heavenly Palace, a place that specializes in selling various third-level rare elixirs and spiritual materials. He walked quickly to a gorgeously decorated shop with a plaque of Jiuxiaodan Pavilion hanging at the door. Pushing the door open, a strong smell of medicine hit his face. The store was filled with a variety of elixirs and spiritual herbs. A clerk in a green shirt came up and asked respectfully, "My fellow Taoist, what do you need?" Ye Changsheng went straight to the point. "I need jade soul incense and top grade Purple Mansion pill." The Clark heard this, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, but soon regained his composure. He said respectfully, "Fellow Daoist, you have good eyesight. These two are both top-grade spiritual medicines. Jade Soul Incense can calm the mind and condense the spirit, stabilize the soul, and is of great benefit to breaking through the Purple Mansion. And the top-grade Purple Mansion pill is even more rare, which can greatly increase the success rate of breakthrough." Ye Changsheng nodded and said, "Yes, that's why I came here. Please prepare it as soon as possible." The waiter immediately went to the back hall to get the medicine. After a while, he came back with an exquisite jade box and opened it carefully. There was a bunch of crystal clear herbs in the box, exuding a faint fragrance, which was the Jade Soul Incense. There was also a purple pill next to it, exuding a rich spiritual energy, which was the top grade Purple Mansion pill. "Okay, no problem. The quality is all top grade. I want 10 bundles of Jade Soul Incense and 5 top grade Purple Mansion pills." Ye Changsheng checked it and said, "Okay, fellow Daoist, I'll get the goods for you right away." After that, the waiter quickly brought another 9 bundles of Jade Soul Incense and 4 top-grade Purple Mansion pills. Ye Changsheng checked carefully, and after confirming that everything was correct, he asked, "How many spiritual stones are there in total?" The clerk answered respectfully, 10 bundles of Jade Soul Incense total 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones, and 5 high-grade Purple Mansion pills total 60,000 high-grade spiritual stones. A total of 160,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng took out a storage bag without saying a word and poured out 160,000 high-grade spiritual stones. After the clerk counted them correctly, he solemnly handed the jade box to Ye Changsheng. After completing the transaction, Ye Changsheng left Jiuxiaodan Pavilion with satisfaction. Ye Changsheng quickly left the Heavenly Palace and returned to the real world. Early the next morning, Ye Changsheng got up and prepared the spiritual medicine to give to his grandfather. He carefully put a Purple Mansion fruit and a bundle of Jade Soul Incense into the exquisite jade box, and then walked towards Qinghu Peak. Unlike when Ye Changsheng broke through the Purple Mansion, he still had to worry about the concentration of spiritual energy. Grandpa Ye Jiu didn't have to worry at all. Because the spiritual veins of Qinghu Peak have been upgraded to the 3rd grade upper level, it can be called a holy place for cultivation. And Grandpa Ye Jiuhu's cave is located in one of the most abundant spiritual places in Qinghu Peak. When he arrived in front of Grandpa Ye Jiuhu's cave, Ye Changsheng knocked on the door respectfully. "Come in, Grandpa." Ye Jiuhu's voice came from inside. Ye Changsheng pushed the door open and saw Ye Jiuhu sitting cross-legged on the futon to regulate his breath. Seeing his grandson coming, Ye Jiuhu opened his eyes and smiled kindly. "Changsheng, you came at the right time." Ye Changsheng bowed respectfully and said, "Grandpa, grandson brought you the spiritual medicine needed for breakthrough." As he said, he presented the jade box. Ye Jiuhu took the jade box, opened it, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. But, the quality of the jade soul fragrance and the Purple Mansion fruit are both superior. With these, I'm more confident of a breakthrough." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Grandpa, don't worry, these are carefully selected by my grandson. As for the place for retreat and breakthrough, the concentration of spiritual energy in Qinghu Peak is completely sufficient." Ye Jiuhu nodded. "Yes, this is indeed the best place for breakthrough. Changsheng, you did a good job. Now you go back first. I'm going to start retreat." Ye Changsheng respectfully left the cave, feeling both expectant and nervous. He knew that in the next few days, his grandfather would face the most important breakthrough in his life. One night half a month later, Ye Changsheng was practicing and suddenly felt a strong fluctuation of spiritual energy. He suddenly opened his eyes and was shocked. This is, Grandpa has started to break through. The sky above Qinghu Peak was covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder one after another. Purple thunder shuttled through the clouds and struck the ground from time to time. At the same time, the earth began to shake slightly, the rocks cracked, and the grass and trees swayed. Ye Changsheng immediately rushed out of the room and came to the yard. He looked up at the sky and saw a huge purple light column rising into the sky. In the center of the light column, a figure could be vaguely seen fighting against the power of heaven and earth. Its This the vision of breaking through the purple mansion. Ye Changsheng muttered to himself, his eyes full of awe. As time passed, the vision became more and more intense. The entire Qinghu Peak was shrouded in a layer of purple light, and the spiritual energy surged like a tide. The vibration of the ground became more and more intense, and even several small peaks began to collapse. In the sky, the thunder became more and more dense. Every thunder that fell seemed to tear the earth apart. But strangely, these thunders seemed to deliberately avoid the location of Ye Changsheng's cave. Suddenly, a deafening thunder resounded through the world. Ye Changsheng only felt a white light in front of his eyes. When he came to his senses, he found that the dark clouds in the sky were quickly dispersing, replaced by a purple glow. In the center of the glow, a huge purple vortex slowly formed. In the center of the vortex, the outline of a palace could be vaguely seen. Ye Changsheng knew that it was the legendary Purple Palace. The whole process lasted for a whole hour. When the first ray of sunlight shone on the earth, all the strange phenomena disappeared. Qinghu Peak returned to its former tranquility, as if nothing had happened. But Ye Changsheng knew that everything was different. Grandpa successfully broke through to the Purple Mansion realm. From now on, the Ye family will have 2 Purple Mansion masters in charge. The news quickly spread throughout the Ye family. The elders of the family rushed to Qinghu Peak to see Ye Changsheng's style. But Ye Changsheng had just broken through and needed time to stabilize his realm, so he could not see guests for the time being. Although the people of the Ye family were a little disappointed, they were more excited and shocked. They didn't expect Ye Changsheng to break through to the Purple Mansion realm so quickly. There must be some great opportunity. Do you think the ancestor got some heaven-defying treasure? A young disciple asked in a low voice. Hush, don't talk nonsense. The elder next to him immediately scolded. No matter what method the ancestor used, this is a blessing for our Ye family. That's right, but I guess the clan leader must have got a great opportunity. After all, the clan leader and the ancestor have made rapid progress in their cultivation over the years, which is really too fast. Another clan member guessed. Everyone nodded, thinking that this statement is very likely. After all, Ye Changsheng has given so much help to the family, it is impossible for everyone not to know it. Just as everyone was talking, Ye Changsheng walked down from Qinghu Peak. Seeing him, everyone quieted down, their eyes full of awe and curiosity. Chapter 181 King Fengpeng advances. Ye Changsheng looked around and said with a smile, "Don't panic. Grandpa has successfully broken through to the Purple Mansion realm and is now stabilizing his realm. When he comes out of retreat, he will call everyone to announce the good news. Now, everyone go back first." After hearing this, everyone reluctantly dispersed. 2 months later, Grandpa Ye Changsheng finally stabilized his Purple Mansion cultivation and came out of retreat. Upon hearing the news, Ye Changsheng immediately rushed to the Tiger Garden and respectfully saluted his grandfather, saying, "Congratulations, Grandpa, on your great progress in cultivation and achieving the Purple Mansion realm." Ye Changsheng's appearance has become younger. When he entered the foundation building stage, he still looked like a middle-aged man, but now he looks like he is in his 30s. His skin is smooth and delicate, without a trace of wrinkles, and his eyes are bright and energetic, as if they contain endless wisdom. A head of black long hair casually draped over his shoulders, adding a bit of chic. Ye Changsheng was wearing a lavender robe embroidered with golden cloud patterns, which made him look noble and sage-like. His temperament had also changed dramatically, and his every move exuded a kind of aloofness, as if he no longer belonged to the mundane world. Ye Changsheng was also very happy, stroking his beard and smiling. "Changsheng, to be honest, I didn't expect to become the ancestor of Zifu one day. The biggest dream in this life is to become a foundation building cultivator, but now I have entered the realm of Zifu, which is really a blessing from heaven." The two chatted for a while, and Ye Changsheng took out a crystal clear purple fruit from the storage ring and respectfully presented it with both hands. "Grandpa, this is a Zifu fruit. I think your spiritual pet King Fengpeng has reached the peak of the 2nd level, and it is just right to use it to break through." Ye Changsheng was overjoyed when he heard this, and took the Purple Mansion fruit and looked at it carefully. "Great. King Fengpeng has been stuck at the peak of the 2nd level for more than 10 years. If it weren't for my cultivation, it would have advanced long ago. With this purple mansion fruit, King Fengpeng's advancement to the 3rd level is almost certain. After that, Ye Jiuhu took out an exquisite monster bag from his waist, shook it gently, a green light flashed, and a huge green rock appeared in front of the 2. This King Fengpeng is covered with cyan feathers, which shine like metal in the sun. Its wingspan is more than 3 feet wide, and each feather is as sharp as a knife. Its eagle-like beak flashes with cold light, and its sharp eyes reveal incomparable wisdom. King Fengpeng's claws are like steel, and each claw can easily tear hard rocks. The most eye-catching thing is the cluster of fiery red feathers on its head, which is like a dancing flame, forming a sharp contrast with the cyan feathers. King Fengpeng exudes a powerful aura, which is enough to scare many cultivators, even if it is a peak 2nd level monster. As soon as King Fengpeng appeared, he found the purple mansion fruit in Ye Jiuhu's hand, and suddenly became extremely excited and uttered a loud cry. Ye Jiuhu stroked King Fengpeng's head and neck affectionately, and smiled. "Okay, don't worry. I'll give it to you right away." As he said, he fed the purple mansion fruit to King Fengpeng. King Fengpeng swallowed the purple mansion fruit in one gulp, then closed his eyes and began to digest the precious spiritual fruit. Seeing this, Ye Jiuhu immediately sent King Fengpeng to the retreat room that had been prepared long ago. After settling King Fengpeng, Ye Jiuhu said to Ye Changsheng, "This little guy is probably going to retreat for a while. Changsheng, you go and do your thing first, and I'll notify you when it comes out of retreat." Ye Changsheng respectfully took his leave, feeling happy that King Fengpeng was about to break through, and full of expectations for his own cultivation path. One day a month later, Ye Changsheng was practicing, and suddenly sensed a violent fluctuation of spiritual energy coming from the direction of the tiger garden. Then, a purple beam of light shot up into the sky, and the surrounding spiritual energy gathered there frantically. A strange scene appeared in the sky, with purple clouds condensing into the shapes of various mythical beasts, sometimes phoenixes spreading their wings, and sometimes unicorns leaping. Ye Changsheng immediately realized that this was a strange phenomenon caused by King Fengpeng's breakthrough. He quickly stopped practicing and rushed towards the tiger garden. When Ye Changfeng arrived at the tiger garden, the strange vision had dissipated. He saw Ye Jiuhu standing outside the retreat room with a relieved smile on his face. The door of the retreat room slowly opened, and a strong breath rushed towards him. King Fengpeng slowly walked out of the retreat room, and its changes amazed Ye Changsheng. King Fengpeng's body size has increased again, and its wingspan is now close to 4 feet. Its feathers are brighter, and each one seems to contain infinite power. The fiery red feathers on its head have become more vivid, like a ball of jumping flames. The most eye-catching thing is that King Fengpeng's eyes are flashing purple light, like 2 dazzling purple crystals. Its breath is steady and powerful, and it is already a genuine 3rd level monster. King Fengpeng gently flapped his wings, and the surrounding air immediately formed a miniature tornado, showing that its control of the wind element has reached a new level. Ye Jiuhu happily stroked King Fengpeng's feathers, and said to Ye Changsheng, "Great. This little guy really didn't disappoint me. Not only did he successfully break through to the 3rd level, but he also awakened the wind-related magical power. In the future, his speed and attack power will be greatly improved. It's really a cause for celebration." Ye Changsheng was also sincerely happy for King Fengpeng. At this moment, King Fengpeng suddenly let out a loud cry, spread his wings, and flew into the sky. It circled in the air several times, then swooped down, and then quickly pulled up just before it hit the ground. The whole process went smoothly, showing amazing flying skills. Ye Jiuhu looked at King Fengpeng's performance with a pleased smile on his face. "It seems that this little guy is showing us his new ability." Ye Changsheng and Ye Jiuhu enjoyed King Fengpeng's wonderful performance for a while. Seeing King Fengpeng flying freely in the air, showing off his amazing flying skills, Ye Changsheng suddenly had an idea in his mind. He turned to his grandfather Ye Jiuhu and said respectfully, "Grandpa, you are now a strong man in the Zifu realm, and you should be equipped with corresponding magic weapons for protection. Why don't we go to Linxio Immortal City and select some useful 3-dimensional magic weapons for you? How about the magic weapon?" Ye Jiuhu stroked his beard, nodded with a smile and said, "What a great idea. I'm just going to visit Linxio Immortal City and buy some elixirs for King Fengpeng for 3rd level monsters." Ye Changsheng was overjoyed when he heard this and added, "Grandpa, we can ride King Fengpeng, which is fast and safe. But just in case, I want to bring a few third level fire crows to escort us." Ye Jiuhu glanced at his grandson approvingly and said happily, "Yes, it's very thoughtful. Then I'll do as you say." After getting his grandfather's consent, Ye Changsheng immediately set off for the mountain behind King Hu Peak. Chapter 182 Purchase of Magical Weapons. Coming to the fire mulberry forest in the back mountain, Ye Changsheng whistled softly. A moment later, 6 huge fiery redbirds flew out of the forest and landed in front of him. Ye Changsheng took out a special monster bag from the storage ring and put the 6 fire crows in it one by one. After settling the fire crows, Ye Changsheng quickly returned to the tiger garden. He saw Ye Jiuhu already riding on the back of King Fengpeng, waiting for him. "Grandpa, everything is ready. Let's go now," Ye Changsheng said, and also jumped lightly on the back of King Fengpeng. Ye Jiuhu nodded and patted King Fengpeng's neck. King Fengpeng understood, let out a loud cry, spread its huge wings, and flew into the sky. The journey of Ye Changsheng and his grandfather Ye Jiuhu to Linxiao Immortal City on King Fengpeng lasted for half a month. During this time, the two talked and laughed, and talked about their cultivation experience. Ye Jiuhu still found it unbelievable that he could break through to the Purple Mansion realm, and he sighed at the wonder of fate from time to time. "Changsheng, you said that I can still have such an opportunity at my age. It is really a blessing from heaven." Ye Jiuhu stroked his beard and sighed. Ye Changsheng smiled and responded, "Grandpa, you are now extremely talented, and it is well deserved to have achieved today. But the road to cultivation is still very long, and we can't be proud and complacent." That's right. Ye Jiuhu nodded repeatedly. "Our Ye family can have a descendant like you. It's really the merits of our ancestors." The two chatted all the way, and they had been flying for more than 10 days without realizing it. Finally, on the morning of the 15th day, a majestic and spectacular fairy city appeared at the end of the field of vision. The fairy city was pale gold all over, shining under the shining of the morning sun, like a palace in the sky. "That's Linxiao Fairy City, right?" Ye Jiuhu squinted his eyes and looked into the distance, saying a little excitedly. Ye Changsheng nodded. "Yes, that is the 4th level fairy city, Linxiao City." "Grandpa, is this your first time here?" "Yes, I only heard about it before, but today I finally saw it with my own eyes." Ye Jiuhu sighed. "It is indeed well deserved. It is so magnificent just from a distance." As the distance got closer, the outline of Linxiao Fairy City became clearer. The entire fairy city presented a huge circle, surrounded by tall walls. The walls were inlaid with countless glittering spirit stones, forming a huge protective shield that enveloped the entire fairy city. Ye Changsheng and Ye Jiuhu came to the gate of the fairy city and jumped off King Fengpeng's back. Ye Jiuhu patted King Fengpeng's head gently and smiled. "Thank you for your hard work, old friend." After that, he put King Fengpeng into the monster bag. The two came to the city gate and saw 2 guards in armor waiting in full battle array. After the two handed in the spirit stones for entering the city, they successfully entered Linxiao Fairy City. The moment they stepped into the city gate, Ye Changsheng and Ye Jiuhu both felt a strong spiritual power wave sweeping through their bodies. This was the protection array of the Immortal City, checking the cultivation and identity of the people entering the city. After confirming that it was correct, the two successfully entered Linxiao Immortal City. As soon as they entered the city, the rich spiritual energy rushed over Ye Jiuhu, who took a deep breath and exclaimed, "Such a rich spiritual energy. No wonder this place can become a 4th level immortal city. The concentration of spiritual energy alone is far beyond our King Hu Peak." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Linxiao Immortal City is built on a giant 4th level natural spiritual vein. Coupled with the effect of the 4th level magic array in the center of the Immortal City, the spiritual energy concentration of the entire Immortal City is maintained at a very high level." The two walked forward along the wide street. There were shops on both sides of the street, and there was an endless stream of cultivators coming and going. Most of them were foundation building cultivators, and occasionally a few Purple Mansion real people could be seen. Ye Jiuhu looked around, full of curiosity about everything around him. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Grandpa, let's go to the inner city first. That's where the real immortal cultivators gather, and there are more high level magic weapons for sale." Okay, I'll listen to you, Ye. Jiuhu nodded repeatedly. The two soon arrived at the gate leading to the inner city. The guard checked their cultivation again and let them go after confirming that they were at the Purple Mansion realm. As soon as they entered the inner city, the surrounding scene suddenly changed. The streets became wider and the buildings on both sides became taller and more magnificent. The two soon came to the largest magic weapon store in the inner city. The three big characters Xiangang Pavilion were written on the shop sign, emitting a faint spiritual light. As soon as they entered the door, a young man in gorgeous clothes came up to them. "Two distinguished guests are visiting our store. What do you need, Ye?" Changsheng bowed and said, "We want to see the third grade inferior flying swords." The young man's eyes lit up when he heard this. "So you are the two seniors of Zifu. I will take you to see the best third grade magic weapon in our store." Under the guidance of the young man, Ye Changsheng and Ye Jiuhu came to the second floor of the store. There are various third grade magic weapons on display here, each of which exudes powerful spiritual power fluctuations. The young man first took out 3 third grade inferior flying swords and introduced them one by one. These 3 flying swords are named U-0027 Kingfeng, U-0027, U-0027 Qian, U-0027 and U-0027 Zidian, U-0027, all of which are the best third grade inferior flying swords in our store. Ye Changsheng looked at them carefully and finally chose the flying sword named Zidian. The flying sword was lavender in color, and there was a faint flash of electricity on the sword. "Let's take this one, Ye," Changsheng said. "Grandpa, what do you think, Ye?" Jiuhu nodded with satisfaction. Not bad. It's just a little expensive." The young man smiled and said, "This U-0027 Purple Lightning U-0027 is priced at 800,000 spirit stones." Ye Changsheng did not bargain and directly took out the spirit stones from the storage bag to pay. Next, the two looked at the protective robes and shields. After careful selection, Ye Changsheng finally chose a robe called Zuanshan robe and a shield called Golden Light Shield. The Zuanshan robe is a deep black with complex golden runes embroidered on it. Golden Light Shield is a round golden shield with a smooth surface like a mirror. These two magic weapons cost 1.2 million and 1 million low-grade spirit stones respectively. Finally, the two bought a third-level flying boat. The young man took the two to the backyard of the store, where several third-level low-grade flying boats were parked. Ye Changsheng chose a flying boat named Yufeng and spent 2.5 million low-grade spirit stones. In this way, Ye Changsheng spent a total of 5.5 million low-grade spirit stones in Xiangang Pavilion. Although it cost a lot, Ye Changsheng was very satisfied when he saw his grandfather Ye Jiu, who couldn't let it go. After leaving Xiangang Pavilion, the two came to a pill shop next door. Ye Changsheng bought 2 bottles of third-level spirit beast pills for King Fengpeng, spending 2 million low-grade spirit stones. "Changsheng, you spent so many spirit stones today, isn't it too extravagant?" Ye Jiuhu asked worriedly. Ye Changsheng smiled and shook his head. "Grandpa, don't worry. These magic weapons and pills are for your safety. Besides, our family doesn't lack these spirit stones. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 183 Grandson. Ye Jiuhu laughed loudly when he heard this. Okay. Having a grandson like you makes me an old man really blessed." The two of them walked around the Linxio fairy city again until late in the evening. They reluctantly left this prosperous fairy city and embarked on their way home. After Ye Changsheng returned to Qinghu Peak, he adjusted his breathing for another half a month and then came out of seclusion. Ye Changsheng remembered that he had not seen the children for a long time. The children are all grown up and have had their spiritual roots tested a few years ago. Lu Wansheng's old Ye Changsheng is 12 years old this year and has 4 spiritual roots. The 8th eldest brother, Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng, are twins. They are also 12 years old and have no spiritual roots. Lu Wan also gave birth to 19-year-old Ye Changsheng, who was 10 years old and had no spiritual roots. 20-year-old Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng are twin dragons with 4 spiritual roots. In this way, Lu Wan gave birth to a total of 6 children, 1 with 2 spiritual roots, 1 with 3 spiritual roots, 2 with 4 spiritual roots, and 2 with no spiritual roots. The probability of spiritual root emergence is already frighteningly high. Li Zero gave birth to 9-year-old Ye Changsheng and 10-year-old Ye Changsheng. They are both 10 years old this year and both have no spiritual roots. Ye Changsheng planned to give her another child. After all, it would be too lonely for her to be alone when she gets old. Zhaolinga gave birth to the 11th child, Ye Changwen, who is 10 years old this year and has 3 spiritual roots. Ye Changwen and Ye Changwen, the 12th eldest, are twins with no spiritual roots. Sun Yurao gave birth to 13th-year-old Ye Changyu, who is 10 years old and has 3 spiritual roots. The 14th-year-old Ye Changsheng was born as a twin dragon and had no spiritual roots. Wang Yuan gave birth to 15th-year-old Ye Changyu, who is 10 years old this year and has 2 spiritual roots. The 16th-year-old Ye Changsheng and Ye Changyu are twins of a dragon and a phoenix with 4 spiritual roots. Chen Miling gave birth to 17th-year-old Ye Changyu, who is 10 years old and has 3 spiritual roots. 18-year-old Ye Changning and Ye Changyu are twins with no spiritual roots. Ye Changsheng sent someone to inform Li Qian that he planned to go to Ye Family Fairy City to visit his eldest son Ye Changchen's family. Ye Changsheng took Li Qian with his sword and flew to the Ye Family Fairy City. Looking from a distance, he saw a majestic city standing among the mountains with towering walls and a faint spiritual light. Although this second-level fairy city is not as majestic as those top-level fairy cities, it is still quite large. As the two approached, the guards at the city gate immediately noticed the powerful aura. Ye Changsheng and Li Qian landed slowly and showed their identity J tags to the guards. The guards saluted respectfully and quickly opened the city gate to let them through. Entering the fairy city, the prosperous scene comes into view. The streets are wide and clean, with shops on both sides and a dazzling array of signboards among the pedestrians coming and going. There were both worldly and wealthy people dressed in luxurious clothes, as well as immortal cultivators with an unworldly temperament. Ye Changsheng noticed that the population in the city had increased significantly compared to the last time he came here. It seems that the tide of monsters outside has made many people choose to take refuge here. Ye Changsheng whispered to Li Qian. Li Qian nodded in agreement. Yes, there are probably hundreds of thousands of people in the city now, and it's much more lively than before. The two walked through the bustling streets and arrived at the gate of Ye Mansion. The mansion is magnificent, with a gold-lettered plaque of Ye Mansion hanging above the red lacquer door. When the two warriors in front of the door saw the two of them, they immediately came forward to ask. Ye Changsheng said calmly, "I'm Ye Changchen's father, and I came here to visit." The warrior was shocked when he heard this and quickly bowed and saluted. "It turns out that the master has arrived. I will go and report it now." Having said that, one of them quickly stepped into the internal report. Not long after, the door of the mansion opened wide, and a group of people walked out quickly, surrounded by a couple. The leaders were Ye Changchen and his wife Wang Zhao. Ye Changsheng looked at his eldest son and couldn't help but feel filled with emotion. "I remember that when I got married, Ye Changchen was still like an ignorant child. Now he is the head of the family, showing maturity and stability in his every move." Ye Changchen led everyone to kneel down and salute. "My son, Ye Changchen, would like to welcome my father and mother." Ye Changsheng smiled slightly, waved his hand and cast a spell to lift everyone up. "Everyone, please get up." No need to be polite. Surrounded by everyone, Ye Changsheng and Li Qian entered the inner house. The courtyard is full of exotic flowers and plants, and several first-order spiritual fruit trees are lush and green, exuding a faint aura. Ye Changsheng nodded secretly. It seems that Ye Changchen has been doing well in recent years. Arriving at the main hall, Ye Changsheng and Li Qian sat down in order. Ye Changchen and Wang Zhao stood aside and waited respectfully. Ye Changchen's face was full of joy and he said, "Father, it has been 5 years since you left King Hu Peak. This is the first time to see your son. My son is really happy." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Yes, I have been busy practicing these years, but I have neglected you. Your mother, on the other hand, comes to see you once a year, which makes me feel relieved. The child has made his father and mother miss him." Ye Changsheng said emotionally, "However, I would also like to congratulate my father for being promoted to the realm of Zifu. My father is extremely talented and his son really admires him." Ye Changsheng said again. Ye Changsheng laughed loudly. "Foundation building is the foundation for cultivating immortality, and Zifu is just the first step on the road to cultivating immortality. By the way, I heard that you already have 2 children. Please bring them to me." Ye Changsheng quickly ordered the maid to hold the child. Not long after, the 2 children were brought over. The eldest one is a girl, about 4 years old, very cute and pretty. She called out in a sweet voice, "Hello, Grandpa, Grandma." The younger one was a boy who had just learned to walk. His big round eyes looked at Ye Changsheng and Li Qian curiously. Ye Changsheng and Li Qian each picked up a child, with loving smiles on their faces. Ye Changsheng teased the granddaughter in his arms, and said with emotion, "I didn't expect that Ye Changsheng, would also be a grandfather." As he spoke, he took out 2 jade pendants from his storage bag, and handed them to Ye Changsheng. "This is a first level magic weapon specially made by the King Hu Peak weapon refiner. It can gather spiritual energy, and strengthen the body. You can wear it for the children." Ye Changsheng and Wang Zirao quickly thanked them. Ye Changsheng said again, "Father, my son still doesn't know if these 2 children have spiritual roots." Ye Changsheng nodded and said, "If it is found to have spiritual roots, send it back to King Hu Peak and let your mother take care of it." Ye Changsheng said excitedly, "My son will definitely work hard to give birth to a child with spiritual roots." At this time, Li Qian spoke, "Birthday, although this house is big, your room still seems a bit deserted." Wang Zirao understood immediately, knelt down and said, "My daughter-in-law must marry more concubines for her husband as soon as possible, and try to choose girls from immortal families." Li Qian nodded with satisfaction. "Okay, if you like any girl, tell me and I will send someone to talk about it." Ye Changsheng thanked him happily. "Thank you very much, mother." Ye Changsheng and Li Qian had dinner in the mansion, and chatted with Ye Changsheng and his wife for a while. Seeing that it was getting late, Ye Changsheng stood up and said, "It's getting late, we should go back." Ye Changsheng reluctantly sent his parents to the door of the house, knelt down and said, "Congratulations to my father and mother." Ye Changsheng nodded in agreement, rose up with his sword together with Li Qian, and disappeared into the night sky. Seeing his parents leaving, Ye Changsheng felt filled with gratitude and determination. He secretly vowed that he must work hard to spread the branches and leaves of the Ye family, and continue the immortal relationship. Chapter 184 Guest Building Foundation. Early the next morning, when Ye Changsheng was immersed in his practice, a communication paper talisman suddenly flew into his quiet room, interrupting his practice. Ye Changsheng frowned slightly, reached out to take the paper talisman, and with a glance of his consciousness, he immediately understood the contents. "It seems there is something important," Ye Changsheng whispered to himself. He stood up, straightened his robes, opened the door of the quiet room, and walked out. As soon as he came out of seclusion, Ye Changsheng saw King Hu Peak's chief steward Ye Changsheng standing respectfully outside the door waiting. Although Ye Changsheng is now at the foundation level, he still maintains the same respectful attitude towards Ye Changsheng as before. This made Ye Changsheng quite satisfied, and he nodded secretly. Clan leader. When Ye Changsheng saw Ye Changsheng coming out, he immediately bowed and saluted. "I have something important to report." Ye Changsheng nodded slightly, and motioned for him to continue. Ye Changsheng said respectfully, reporting to the clan leader, 4 of the 16 guests from King Hu Peak have accumulated 80,000 contribution points, reaching the standard of being able to exchange for mid-grade foundation establishment pills. But redeeming the foundation establishment pills is of great importance. My subordinates don't dare to make decisions without permission, so I have come to ask the clan leader to make a decision. Hearing this, Ye Changsheng thought for a moment. In fact, this is not a big deal. He has already purchased 30 middle grade foundation building pills in the Heavenly Palace and stored them in the treasure pavilion just for these guests. However, since 4 people had accumulated 80,000 points so quickly, Ye Changsheng was a little curious. Come on, let's go take a look. Ye Changsheng said. Ye Changsheng respectfully led the way, and soon the two of them arrived at King Hu Peak Treasure Pavilion. In the Bayou Pavilion, 4 guests were already waiting. Seeing Ye Changsheng's arrival, they immediately bowed and saluted, and said in unison, "I have met our ancestor." Ye Changsheng looked at these 4 people carefully, and found that they were all recruited by himself. 3 were formation masters and 1 was an alchemist. He nodded and said, "No need to be polite. It's great that you can accumulate 80,000 contribution points so quickly." When the 4 people heard this, their faces showed joy. Ye Changsheng continued, "Changsheng, let's start the exchange procedures." Ye Changsheng responded, stepped forward to take the identity jade tags of the 4 people, deducted 80,000 contribution points one by one, then took out 4 jade boxes from the storage bag, and handed them to them respectfully. "This is a middle grade foundation building pill. Please keep it." Ye Changsheng said. The 4 of them took the jade box and opened it carefully. When they saw the crystal clear elixir inside, their eyes shone with excitement. They did not expect that the foundation building pill, which was difficult to obtain in ordinary 3rd and 4th level sects, could be obtained so easily at Ye family King Hu Peak. "Thank you, ancestor, for the gift." The 4 of them bowed deeply to Ye Changsheng again. Ye Changsheng waved his hand and asked, "What are your plans after you advance to foundation building?" The 4 of them looked at each other, and the last formation master said cautiously, reporting to the ancestor, "I haven't thought about it yet. The tide of monsters outside has not subsided, and there is chaos everywhere, and there is no good place to go." When Ye Changsheng heard this, a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. He pondered for a moment and said, "Actually, I have obtained a complete set of advanced inheritance of the 4 skills from the 1st to the 2nd level, as well as a large number of 2nd level elixir recipes, formations and other secret recipes. These are all prepared for you. If you have nowhere to go, you might as well sign a new employment contract with King Hu Peak, and I can promise that you will receive favorable treatment." As soon as these words came out, the 4 people's eyes suddenly lit up. King Hu Peak not only has the 2nd level advanced inheritance, but also has a lot of professional knowledge of skills, which is no worse than the 3rd level sect. Even if they advance to the foundation building stage, they can only enter the 3rd or 4th level sect outside, but the treatment is definitely not comparable to that of King Hu Peak. "Thank you for your love, ancestor." The 4 of them said in unison, "I will definitely choose King Hu Peak first." Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction and waved to indicate that they could leave. The 4 people excused themselves excitedly. It seemed that they couldn't wait to enter the 2nd level retreat at King Hu Peak and try to break through the foundation. After the 4 people left, Ye Changsheng turned to Ye Changsheng and asked, "What is the cultivation level of the other 12 people?" Ye Changsheng replied respectfully, "Hui clan chief, because King Hu Peak offers generous treatment, they have all reached the 9th level of key refining. However, the contribution points are not enough for 80,000, so they can only continue to accumulate silently." Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and said, "We at King Hu Peak don't lack the resources. Let's do this. We can give them the foundation establishment pill in advance and allow them to continue to pay back after they have established the foundation." When Ye Changsheng heard this, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, and then he said respectfully, "The patriarch is benevolent. I believe they will be grateful to you." The patriarch. Ye Changsheng laughed and said, "It doesn't matter. I just want them to advance to the 2nd level as soon as possible so that they can contribute to King Hu Peak." After explaining these things, Ye Changsheng returned to the quiet room to continue practicing in seclusion. Half a month later, Ye Changsheng felt 3 waves of spiritual energy that broke through the foundation building stage. It seems that 3 of the 4 guests successfully broke through. 5 days later, 9 violent spiritual energy fluctuations came from King Hu Peak again. Ye Changsheng knew that 9 of the remaining 12 guests had successfully broken through to the foundation building stage point, considering that what they got was just an ordinary mid-grade foundation building pill. The success rate of this kind of breakthrough was already quite good. Ye Changsheng was very satisfied with this. A month later, Ye Changsheng ended his retreat. While he was sitting in the study drinking tea, Ye Jiuyan, the family's talisman making elder, came to see him. Clan leader, I have something important to report, Ye Jiuyan said respectfully. Ye Changsheng put down the teacup and motioned him to continue. Ye Mingyuan said, the talisman making elder Zhao Gangwen of the Wending Pavilion of the 4th level sect of Zhao State wants to meet you in Linxiao Immortal City, saying that there is something important to discuss. He specifically mentioned that he is the ancestor of Zifu and has a high position in Wending Pavilion. Ye Changsheng frowned slightly. As the top sect of Zhao State, Wending Pavilion's strength should not be underestimated. Since this elder Zhao personally made an appointment, it must be something important. I know. You go down first. Ye Changsheng waved his hand. After Ye Mingyuan left, Ye Changsheng thought for a moment and decided to go in person. Since his grandfather Ye Jiuhu and his king Fengpeng have both advanced to the 3rd level, Ye Changsheng does not need to leave the Golden Crow to guard the house. He came to the back mountain, installed 6 3-legged golden crows, and drove a Zing flying boat into the sky. Half a month later, Ye Changsheng arrived at Linxiao Immortal City. After entering the city, he followed the instructions of the Jade Talisman and soon came to a building called Wending Shop. This was obviously the property of Wending Pavilion. In this place, Ye Changsheng introduced himself, and immediately a disciple led him to the private room on the 2nd floor. Pushing the door open, Ye Changsheng saw a vigorous middle-aged man waiting. The man was wearing a purple robe, with a handsome face, eyes like lightning, and a strong aura in his every move. Fellow Daoist Ye, I have heard of your great name for a long time. The middle-aged man smiled and stood up to greet him. Ye Changsheng hurriedly responded, Senior Zhao is polite. Junior Ye Changsheng, I greet Senior Zhao. Chapter 185 Transaction, Part 3. Haha, no need to be polite, Zhao. Gangwen smiled and said, please sit down. The two sat down separately as host and guest. Ye Changsheng looked at it secretly and found that Zhao Gangwen was already at the middle stage of Zifu and couldn't help but be awestruck. My Lord, Zhao asked, the elder of the talisman maker of the Kingdom Pavilion. Zhao Gangwen introduced himself. Ye Dao has become a real person in Zifu at a young age and has made the King's Huyi family prosperous. He is really a formidable person. Ye Changsheng responded humbly, Senior Zhao is overrated. This junior is just a fluke, and he is still far behind the masters of the noble sect. Zhao Gangwen smiled and shook his head. Fellow Daoist, Ye is so humble. Your achievements are obvious to all, and everyone in my office, Lord Kaiding, praises you highly. The two exchanged a few more words, and the atmosphere gradually became harmonious. Ye Changsheng was curious, wondering what the important matter was for the elder of the Kingdom Pavilion to meet with him. He was about to ask when he saw Zhao Gangwen's expression straighten, and he said slowly, fellow Daoist Ye, actually I'm meeting you this time because I have an important matter to discuss with you. Zhao Gangwen said seriously, Chief Ye may not know that in the past 10 years, there have been frequent wars between monsters and beasts, and the consumption of spiritual talismans has been huge. Many talisman paper production areas have been captured by monsters, resulting in a shortage of talisman paper in Zhao. And we found that a member of the King's Huyi family, the quality of the talisman paper is surprisingly good. When the talisman master makes the talisman paper is very stable, which is very rare in the current market. We speculate that the Ye family must have its own unique secret recipe. After Ye Changsheng heard this, he was secretly proud of himself. This is indeed the magic talisman grass and the secret recipe for making talisman paper that he bought from the Heavenly Palace at a high price. The quality of the talisman paper is naturally good, and he never worries about sales. Zhao Gangwen continued, we, Kingdom Pavilion, intend to exclusively purchase all the Ye family's first order talisman papers, and are willing to purchase them at a price that is 20% higher than before the monster rebellion. The agreed period is 30 years. I wonder what the Ye clan leader wants. After Ye Changsheng listened, He thought for a while. Nowadays, the price of first level talisman paper of the Ye family's quality on the market is 30% higher than before the monster a billion. The 20% offered by the other party is indeed a bit low. Seeing Ye Changsheng's hesitation, Zhao Gangwen quickly added, Chief Ye, as long as the Taoist agreement is signed, the King's Hu Ye family will be an important partner of the Qingding Pavilion in the future. If there are any problems in the future, the Qingding Pavilion can also take care of it. You know that there are 3 ancestors of the Taoist realm in the winning pavilion, and they are also powerful beings in the Zhao kingdom, so they all have to be treated lightly. Ye Changsheng's heart moved. This is what he likes. Although he has advanced to the Purple Mansion, and many people in the family will advance to the Purple Mansion in recent decades, the King's Hu family is still a 3rd level force after all. Facing the ups and downs in the world of immortality, we still need the care of higher level forces. Now the King's Hu family has no eldest brother, which can be said to be running naked in the world of immortality. Taking advantage of this opportunity to get on the line with Qingding Pavilion is not a loss. After thinking again and again, Ye Changsheng said, in that case, we have made it a deal. But please increase the price by 0.5%. After all, the quality of our talisman paper is there, Duke. Zhao was overjoyed and quickly agreed, no problem. Chief Ye is really happy. Let's sign the Taoist treaty now. The 2 sides quickly signed the treaty. Ye Changsheng asked with some curiosity, Elder Zhao, why do you, the elder of Zifu, have to come in person for the business of just a first level talisman paper? Zhao Gangwen laughed and said, Chief Ye's words are wrong. Your Ye family's talismans are worth 200,000 spirit stones every year, which is 6 million spirit stones in 30 years. A big business of 6 million spirit stones. Of course the elder will come and sign the contract in person. Ye Changsheng suddenly realized it and couldn't help but sigh. So that's it. It seems that in the 4th level sect, although the status is respected, there are many mundane affairs, which may also delay cultivation, right? Zhao Gangwen sighed. Clan Chief Ye is right. Sometimes I envy you family monks who can concentrate on cultivation, but each has its own pros and cons. The big sect is rich in resources and the cultivation speed is not slow. The 2 chatted for a while, and then Ye Changsheng said goodbye and left. After leaving the winning shop, Ye Changsheng strolled along the bustling streets of Linxiao Immortal City, thinking about the gains and losses of this transaction. Although the price is slightly lower than the market, having a strong backer like Qingding Pavilion will be very beneficial to the family's development in the long run. Moreover, a stable income can also allow the family to focus more on cultivation without having to worry about resources. Over the years, Ye Changsheng has been very nervous in cultivation, and it is not easy for him to visit Linxiao Immortal City. Since it was rare to come here, he decided to take a stroll and relax. Stop by and see if there's anything suitable you can buy. While strolling, Ye Changsheng came to the famous Linxiao Street. The streets are lined with stalls selling various elixirs, and the air is filled with a strong aroma of medicinal herbs. Just as he stopped to look at a 1,000-year-old Gynoderma lucidum, he suddenly saw 2 familiar figures. They were a pair of twin sisters, the twins of the Zhang family of the Z mansion whom they had met in the past. However, the way they looked at this moment was very different from the dazzling appearance in their memories. Both elder sisters Zhang Yun and younger sister Zhang Fei looked haggard. Their originally fair and jade-like skin was now slightly sallow, and their big, bright, star-like eyes had also lost their former sparkle, with a faint bluish-black color underneath them, obviously caused by long-term fatigue. What surprised Ye Changsheng the most was that their temperaments had changed dramatically. Zhang Yun, who was once capable and decisive, now has a hint of confusion and exhaustion in her eyes, while Zhang Fei, who is gentle and graceful, looks a little worried. Ye Changsheng's heart moved, and he stepped forward to say hello. Zhang Yun, Zhang Fei, long time no see. The 2 sisters turned their heads when they heard this, and showed a forced smile when they saw Ye Changsheng. Zhang Yun said, it turns out to be Mr. Ye. It's been a long time since we saw him. Ye Changsheng noticed that their reactions were a little unusual, and asked with concern, you 2 seem a little tired, but have you encountered any difficulties? Zhang Fei sighed and whispered, Mr. Ye doesn't know something. Our Zhang family has encountered a big change. Hearing this, Ye Changsheng was shocked and quickly invited them to a nearby tea house for a detailed discussion point in the tea house lounge. The Zhang sisters revealed shocking news. It turns out that the Zhang family of the Z mansion has been invaded by a group of powerful monsters, and the family ancestor unfortunately died in the fierce battle. Shuang Jiao of the Zhang family and some late-stage foundation building tribesmen led the survivors to escape and are now living in Linxiao Immortal City in a very difficult situation. We are going out this time to buy elixirs for the alchemist and the family, Zhang Yun explained. The family is now short of resources and can only rely on refining elixirs to make ends meet. After hearing this, Ye Changsheng was silent for a long time, filled with emotions. The once prominent Zifu clan has now fallen to this level. Chapter 186, Marrying the Zhang family's twin beauties. He comforted them. You two don't have to worry too much. There are many opportunities in Linxiao Immortal City. I believe that the Zhang family will be able to make a comeback. Zhang Fei smiled bitterly and said, Mr. Yi, you don't know that my sister and I have already reached the peak of foundation building and are about to break through the purple mansion. But without the purple mansion pill, we took the risk to try to break through, but failed. Now that our realm has regressed, I'm afraid that it will be difficult to advance to the purple mansion in this life. Ye Changsheng's heart moved when he heard this. The two beauties of the Zhang family not only have rare dual spiritual roots, but also have reached the peak of foundation building. If they can help them break through the purple mansion, their future achievements will be limitless. After the conversation, Ye Changsheng found an interesting point in the dead of night. He lay on the bed tossing and turning, and kept thinking about the experience of the two beauties of the Zhang family in his mind. He was attracted by their qualifications, and at the same time, felt sympathy for their situation. After thinking all night, Ye Changsheng made a bold decision. The next morning, he found the second-level cave house rented by the Zhang family in Linxiao Immortal City alone, and asked to meet the two girls. After waiting outside the cave house for a while, Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei came out to meet them. Ye Changsheng invited them to the nearby Lingcha tea house and started chatting. You two, I thought about it for a long time last night and have an unwelcome request. Ye Changsheng said straight to the point. I'm not talented, but I have advanced to the purple mansion a few years ago. I have long admired you two. I wonder if you two are willing to marry me. After Ye Changsheng finished speaking, he revealed the powerful aura of a purple mansion cultivator. The Zhang sisters were immediately panicked and hurriedly stood up to salute. Calling them seniors, Ye Changsheng used his magic power to help them up and said, you two are my old friends. You don't have to call me seniors. Just call me Mr. Yi. What do you think of my request just now? The Zhang sisters were stunned when they heard the words, and then smiled bitterly. Zhang Yun said, Mr. Yi, you are not the first person to make such a request to us. Over the years, I don't know how many people wanted to marry us, but they all failed. Zhang Fei added, and you know our current situation. Our worth has plummeted, and I'm afraid we are no longer worthy of you. Mr. Yi. Ye Changsheng shook his head and said, you two are joking. Your qualifications and potential are indisputable. Besides, as he spoke, he took out two crystal clear pills that he had prepared long ago from his storage bag and placed them on the table. These are two top-grade Zifu pills. As long as you take these pills, you will have a high chance of advancing to Zifu. Even if you have Dao injuries, I can make a heavenly oath here. As long as you are willing to marry into the Yi family, these two Zifu pills will be yours. The Zhang sisters looked at the Zifu pills on the table, and a trace of desire flashed in their eyes. They looked at each other and seemed to be a little moved. However, Zhang Yun still shook her head. We appreciate Mr. Yi's kindness, but there are still some elders and clansmen in our family. The Zhang family is in a critical moment. We sisters have practiced until now and have received great favors from the family. We are now the top masters of the Zhang family. We can't just leave like this. Ye Changsheng was prepared and smiled. I have considered this. If you two are willing, I can talk to your clansmen and guarantee that I will give them help that is far more valuable than you two sisters. I can also guarantee that what I give is far more than the cost of their training you, so that you can also alleviate your guilt. What do you think? Hearing The Zhang sisters fell into deep thought. Ye Changsheng's proposal is indeed tempting. It can not only solve their personal cultivation problems, but also gain great help for the entire family. Mr. Ye, we need to think about your proposal carefully, Zhang Yun finally said. Can you give us some time to discuss? Ye Changsheng nodded and agreed. Of course. I will stay in Linxio Fairy City for a few more days, and you two can think about it slowly. After saying goodbye to the two beauties of the Zhang family, Ye Changsheng was full of expectations. He believed that, as long as they were given some time, they would definitely make the right choice. Ye Changsheng continued to wander around Linxio Immortal City for 3 days, waiting for news from the Zhang sisters. Finally, on the 4th day, Ye Changsheng received a message from the Zhang sisters, asking him to go to the Zhang family residence to discuss important matters. It seemed that things were promising, and Ye Changsheng was excited and hurried over. A moment later, Ye Changsheng arrived at the Zhang family cave, only to see Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei waiting at the door. Compared with a few days ago, the two sisters looked much better. Their faces regained some redness, and their eyes were rejuvenated. When they saw Ye Changsheng, a hint of shyness flashed in their eyes, and they lowered their heads slightly to avoid Ye Changsheng's gaze. This subtle change did not escape Ye Changsheng's eyes, and he was sure in his heart that things seemed to be a little bit settled. Mr. Ye, you are here. Zhang Yun spoke first, her voice soft and expectant. Please come in. We have prepared the best spiritual tea. Zhang Fei also smiled and said, yes, Mr. Ye, please come in. All the elders of our Zhang family are waiting for you inside. Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded, followed the two sisters into the cave. This is a small cave, far from the glory of the former Zifu Zhang family. However, even though the family has suffered a great change, the Zhang family still maintains the etiquette and rules of a large family. As soon as he stepped into the cave gate, a servant came forward and respectfully led Ye Changsheng to the living room. As seen along the way, the interior of the cave is simple but well organized. It is obvious that the Zhang family still maintains a good family tradition in adversity. When he came to the living room, Ye Changsheng found that more than a dozen foundation building elders of the Zhang family had gathered here. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart that the Zifu family is worthy of accumulating hundreds of years of heritage. Even if it suffered a heavy blow and most of the family members were killed or injured, it can still retain such a number of foundation building cultivators. This heritage is really admirable. When everyone saw Ye Changsheng coming in, they all stood up and respectfully called him, meet Senior Ye. Then they saluted. Ye Changsheng waved his hand and said, no need to be polite. The eldest elder of the Zhang family stepped forward and said with a smile, Senior Ye has entered the Purple Mansion realm at such a young age. He is really a genius. I have lived for so many years, but this is the first time I have seen such a young Purple Mansion cultivator. I believe that the senior's future path of cultivation will be bright. Maybe one day he will be able to reach the Dao Court or even a higher realm. The other elders also echoed and praised Ye Changsheng for his outstanding talent and promising future. Faced with everyone's compliments, Ye Changsheng responded humbly, you are too kind. The path of cultivation is long and arduous. I'm just lucky enough to enter the Purple Mansion. I'm still far from being a real strong man. On the contrary, the Zhang family has a profound foundation and many talented people, which makes me admire it very much. Chapter 187 Dowry, Part 2. After the greetings, the elder of the Zhang family went straight to the point and asked, Senior Ye is here this time, presumably for the sake of our two beauties? I wonder what kind of price Senior is going to pay. Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and said solemnly, the two girls, Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei, are extremely talented. From their cultivation to the present, the Zhang family must have invested no less than 1 million spirit stones in their resources. I'm willing to pay 3 million spirit stones for each girl, to repay the Zhang family for their kindness and training. As soon as these words came out, the elders of the Zhang family present immediately whispered to each other. Obviously, the conditions offered by Ye Changsheng far exceeded their expectations. Ye Changsheng continued, in addition, I know that the Zhang family's strength will be greatly reduced if they lose top level foundation building combat power such as Shuangjiao and Shuangjiao. For this reason, I'm willing to give 2 additional purple moon fruits as compensation. As Soon as these words came out, the whole living room suddenly became quiet. Everyone's eyes were focused on Ye Changsheng. With surprise and joy shining in their eyes, the purple moon fruit is a rare treasure that can increase the 10% chance of a foundation establishment monk advancing to the purple mansion. Even in the heyday of the Zhang family, they only owned 1 or 2. Now Ye Changsheng opened his mouth with 2. This skill is really shocking. When everyone in the Zhang family heard this condition, the sadness on their brows immediately disappeared, replaced by unconcealable joy. Obviously, the conditions offered by Ye Changsheng far exceeded their expectations and made them excited. After all, under the current situation, the Zhang family has lost the ancestor of the Zifu. If Ye Changsheng exerts pressure as a monk of the Zifu, they will have no room to resist. Now Ye Changsheng not only did not use his power to bully others, but also offered such favorable conditions. This is undoubtedly a great thing. Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei were deeply moved when they heard that Ye Changsheng was willing to pay such a high price to marry them. The original worries about the future and doubts about Ye Changsheng disappeared at this moment. After a heated discussion, the elder of the Zhang family stood up, with a cautious and expectant expression on his face, and said, "Senior Ye's conditions are indeed very generous. And we are very grateful. I just have a small request. I hope seniors can understand." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Great elder, please speak." The Great Elder continued, "As we all know, although the purple moon fruit is precious, it only increases the chance of advancing to the purple mansion by 10%. Considering the current predicament of our Zhang family and the importance of Shuangjiao to the family, we boldly request that the purple moon fruit be transferred to the purple mansion. The number of moon fruits has been increased to 4. What do you think, senior?" After saying that, the Great Elder looked at Ye Changsheng nervously, for fear of offending the young Zifu monk. Hearing this, Ye Changsheng lowered his head and thought for a moment. There was silence in the living room. Everyone held their breath, waiting for Ye Changsheng's response. After a long time, Ye Changsheng raised his head and said with a smile, "In that case, let's follow what the Great Elder said. 4 purple moon fruits." As soon as these words came out, the whole living room suddenly burst into cheers. The expressions on the faces of everyone in the Zhang family changed from nervousness to ecstasy, and they all thanked Ye Changsheng. The first elder said excitedly, "Thank you, Senior Ye, for your generosity. My Zhang family will always remember senior's kindness." Next, everyone in the Zhang family began to congratulate Ye Changsheng enthusiastically, wishing him to grow old together with the Zhang family and achieve success as soon as possible. Ye Changsheng also responded one by one, promising to treat Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei well and work together to overcome the difficulties of cultivation. Afterwards, Ye Changsheng took out 60,000 high-grade spiritual stones and solemnly handed them to the elder of the Zhang family. When they saw the high-grade spiritual stone shining with dazzling light, everyone in the Zhang family was even more overjoyed. You should know that the exchange ratio between high-grade spiritual stones and low-grade spiritual stones is usually about 1 to 115, which means that the Zhang family has gained another considerable income. Finally, Ye Changsheng took out 2 exquisite jade boxes and opened them carefully. I saw 2 crystal clear fruits emitting light purple light placed inside each. They were the legendary purple moon fruit. The second level alchemy master of the Zhang family carefully took the purple moon fruit and inspected it carefully. After a moment, he said excitedly, "It is indeed authentic. It is exactly the same as the purple moon fruit collected by my ancestor back then." These words undoubtedly gave everyone present a reassurance. Everyone in the Zhang family thanked Ye Changsheng one after another, their gratitude beyond words. Just like that, amid the sound of blessings, Ye Changsheng took Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei's hands and walked slowly out of Zhang Jiadong mansion. Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei looked at the young and powerful Zifu monk next to them, and their hearts were filled with gratitude and expectation. After leaving Lingxiao Immortal City, Ye Changsheng held the hands of the Zhang sisters and took out the Xing flying boat. The 3 of them stepped on it, and Ye Changsheng drove the flying boat towards the King's Huyi family at lightning speed. Half a month later, Ye Changsheng and the Zhang sisters finally returned to Qinghu Peak Point. After taking a short rest, Ye Changsheng took the Zhang sisters to visit his grandfather Ye Jiuhu and his mother Cui Linglang. Ye Jiuhu was very happy when he saw that Ye Changsheng had brought back 2 sisters from the top of the foundation building. I feel that Ye Changsheng has finally figured it out. Although it is a bit late, Ye Changsheng has a high level of cultivation and still has a long time. It is never too late to have a baby. Her mother Cui Linglang was also very happy. She took out 2 second level loving kindness fruits and gave them to the Zhang sisters, hoping to help them heal their injuries. Then Ye Changsheng took them to settle down, and at the same time, Ye Changsheng also had a bridal chamber with them. Not long after, Ye Changsheng spent a lot of money to buy the elixir for ancient treatment from the heavenly palace and gave it to the 2 of them to take in order to recover their injuries as soon as possible. Time flies, and a year has passed in the blink of an eye. The Zhang sisters also gave birth to twins for Ye Changsheng. They are the 21st, Ye Shengru, the 22nd, Ye Shengquan, the 23rd, Ye Shengqian, the 24th, Ye Shengmei. 3 months later, Zhang Yun and Zhang Fen's Dao injuries were also close to recovery. Ye Changsheng took the opportunity to ask them to enter a state of retreat. At this time, Mother Cui Linglang was also preparing to advance to the Purple Mansion. Mother Cui Linglang has been advancing to the 9th level of foundation building for 3 years. In order to break through smoothly, she has been training at the 9th level of foundation building for 3 years now. It is finally time to break through. Ye Changsheng quickly presented a purple mansion fruit and a bunch of jade soul incense. After telling his mother the precautions needed to break through the purple mansion, Ye Changsheng left. Half a month later, late at night, Ye Changsheng was practicing when he suddenly felt a strong spiritual energy fluctuation coming from his mother Cui Linglang's retreat. He immediately understood that his mother had begun to break through the purple mansion stage. Ye Changsheng quickly got up and came to the cave where his mother was in retreat. He saw the spiritual energy surging around the cave, forming a huge spiritual energy vortex. A faint purple light emanated from the center of the vortex, which was a unique phenomenon of the purple mansion stage. Chapter 188 Breakthroughs into the Purple Palace. As time went by, the spiritual energy vortex became larger and larger, and the purple light became more and more dazzling. Ye Changsheng could feel that the spiritual power in his mother's body was growing stronger and stronger, and at the same time, it was also undergoing drastic changes. He knew that this was the critical moment when his mother was condensing the purple mansion. Suddenly, a low roar came from the cave, and the whole mountain was shaken. Then, a purple light column shot up into the sky and rushed straight into the sky. A vague figure could be vaguely seen in the light column. It was Cui Linglang's soul undergoing transformation. Ye Changsheng held his breath and watched all this nervously. He knew that breaking through the purple mansion period was an extremely dangerous process. If you are not careful, you may lose your cultivation and even your soul. The light column lasted for about a quarter of an hour and suddenly began to tremble violently. A clear phoenix cry came from the light column. Then, a phoenix condensed by purple spiritual energy flew out of the light column, circled in the air for a few circles, and then drilled back into the light column. Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that this was a good sign. The phoenix is a very yang thing, symbolizing rebirth and nirvana. The fact that his mother could condense a phoenix phantom during the breakthrough process showed that she had successfully passed the most dangerous stage. Then, the light column began to slowly shrink, and the purple light gradually became inward. About half an hour later, the light column completely disappeared, and the cave returned to peace. Ye Changsheng carefully pushed open the door of the cave, only to see his mother Cui Linglang sitting cross-legged on the futon. With a faint purple halo around her, she slowly opened her eyes, with an unprecedented brilliance in her eyes. Changsheng, I succeeded for you, Cui Linglang said with a smile, with unconcealed joy in her voice. Ye Changsheng hurried forward and bowed respectfully, saying, Congratulations, mother, for successfully breaking through the purple mansion stage. Cui Linglang stood up, patted her son's shoulder gently, and said, Thanks to the purple mansion fruit and jade soul incense you provided. Otherwise I really don't know how much time it would take for my mother to break through this time. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, It is my son's blessing to be able to do my best for my mother. The Mother and son smiled at each other, both feeling sincerely happy for this successful breakthrough point. Cui Linglang successfully promoted to the Purple Mansion stage, not only greatly increasing her strength, but also greatly extending her lifespan. This is undoubtedly a great piece of good news for the entire Ye family. Ye Changsheng knew that his mother would need some time to stabilize her elm and adapt to the new cultivation. He said considerately. Mother has just broken through and needs to rest well. My son will prepare some spiritual medicines to regulate the body and help mother recover as soon as possible. Cui Linglang nodded in agreement, and Ye Changsheng left the cave. 2 months later, his mother Cui Linglang also basically stabilized her cultivation. Half a year later, Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei also completely recovered from their injuries, and their cultivation had returned to the top level of foundation building. Ye Changsheng directly gave them 2 purple mansion fruits and 2 bundles of jade soul incense. The 2 women were very shocked. They never expected to see the legendary purple mansion fruit. This is the most suitable spiritual medicine for advancing to the purple mansion, which is several times better than the top grade purple mansion pill. Not to mention the jade soul incense that they have never heard of. With these 2 precious breakthrough spiritual medicines, they feel more confident to break through. Sure enough, half a month later, the 2 women also broke through to the purple mansion stage. After 2 months, the 2 women also stabilized their cultivation in the purple mansion stage and came out of retreat. Because they urgently need to buy a set of 3rd level magic weapons to protect themselves, Ye Changsheng gave them 300,000 middle grade spirit stones respectively, and asked them to go to the market to buy the magic weapons they like. As for their monthly allowance, they were all increased to 10,000 middle grade spirit stones. After explaining the affairs of the 2 women, Ye Changsheng finally had some free time. After he recently practiced in the 9-turn reincarnation formation, he had eaten all the 3 soul fruits, so he came to the fairy tree space with a thought. Now after the accumulation of these years, there are already 45 drops of 3rd level fairy dew and 3 drops of 4th level fairy dew. Ye Changsheng took out 3 drops of 3rd level fairy dew and gave birth to 3 soul fruit trees, each of which had 12 soul fruits. After leaving the fairy tree space, Ye Changsheng sent people to send 6 soul fruits to his grandfather Ye Jiuhu and mother Cui Linglang, which was enough for them to use for several years. The matter of the 9-turn reincarnation formation was solved, and the Sword Heavenly Palace on Qinghu Peak was no longer enough. Ye Changsheng entered the retreat room, sat on the altar of the Heavenly Palace, and came to the Heavenly Palace. Ye Changsheng came to the 3rd to last floor of the Heavenly Palace and found the shop that sold fairy root fruit last time. The shop was not big, but the decoration was elegant, and a plaque of Zion Keogsun was hung at the door. Pushing the door open, a refreshing medicinal fragrance hits you in the face. The shopkeeper is a kind-faced old man. When he sees Ye Changsheng, he smiles warmly. My fellow Taoist, what kind of spiritual medicine do you want to buy? Ye Changsheng smiled and said, I'm here to sell fairy root fruit this time. The old man's eyes lit up. Oh, fellow Taoist actually has fairy root fruit to sell. It's really rare. Ye Changsheng took out 5 crystal clear fairy root fruits from the storage ring and placed them on the counter. After carefully checking, the old man exclaimed, good fruit. Each one is top grade. Young master is really good at it. After some bargaining, the final price was 400,000 top grade spiritual stones per piece. Ye Changsheng obtained 2 million top grade spiritual stones. With his previous savings, he now has more than 2.4 million top grade spiritual stones in his pocket. After bidding farewell to Zion Keogsun, Ye Changsheng set foot on the road leading to the 2nd to last floor. This floor is more prosperous than the one below, with a constant stream of cultivators coming and going. Following the route he remembered, he quickly found a shop that specializes in selling formations. The shop has a magnificent facade with 3 large characters Wan Xin Fang written on it. Ye Changsheng pushed the door open and entered, and a middle-aged man in gorgeous clothes came up to greet him. Fellow Daoist, is there anything you need? Ye Changsheng went straight to the point. I would like to ask, do you have a 3rd level trial field here? The shopkeeper's eyes lit up. Fellow Daoist, you have good vision. We do have 3 3rd level trial fields here. I wonder which one you want. Ye Changsheng gestured for him to introduce it in detail. The shopkeeper nodded and began to explain one by one. The first one is called U0,027,000 Changes Formation U0,027, which is a basic third level trial field. It can simulate various terrain environments, such as mountains, rivers, deserts, ice fields, etc. There are also hundreds of third level low grade puppets in the formation, which can change into various monster forms. This formation is mainly used to train the cultivator's adaptability and basic combat skills. The formation can automatically adjust the difficulty according to the user's strength, which is very suitable for cultivators who have just broken through to the Purple Mansion realm. The second one is called U0,027 5-element illusion formation U0,027, which is an advanced version of the trial field. Chapter 189 Level 3 Trial Field. The power of the 5-element is integrated into the formation, and it can create various scenes in which the 5-element are mutually reinforcing and interfering with each other. There are 500 third-level mid-level puppets inside. They will use various 5-element spells to attack the intruders. This formation can not only train the monk's fighting ability, but also help the monks understand the 5-element more deeply. It is a good choice for monks who want to make a breakthrough in the middle stage of Zifu realm. The third type is called U0,027 Vincian Star Formation U0,027. This is currently the most advanced third level trial field in our store. The formation is based on the power of stars and can simulate various celestial changes. There are thousands of third level high grade puppets inside, including sword puppets, magic weapon puppets and more than 100 different types. These puppets can not only use various spells, but can also form various formations to attack. The formation also incorporates the power of space, which can randomly change the space structure and increase the difficulty of the trial. This formation can train the various abilities of the Zifu monks in almost all aspects. It is the best choice for the Zifu Dzogchen monks. After listening to the introduction, Ye Changsheng fell into deep thought. Each formation has its own unique features, but considering his own strength and future development, he finally decided to choose the third all things star formation. How many spiritual stones does this third formation cost? Ye Changsheng asked. The shopkeeper smiled and said, Taoist friend has a good eye. This U0,027 Vincian Star Array U0,027 is indeed the treasure of our store. It usually sells for 2 million high-grade spiritual stones, but because of the good fate of Taoist friends, we can offer a discount of 1.5 million high-grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, nodded and said, okay, I want it. The shopkeeper was overjoyed and immediately arranged the procedure. Soon, Ye Changsheng got the array disk and usage instructions of the All Things Star Array point. After completing the transaction, Ye Changsheng left Wan's and Fang. He did not continue to stay in the Heavenly Palace, but returned directly to the real world. 3 months had passed since Ye Changsheng returned to reality. On this day, Ye Changsheng woke up from seclusion point with nothing to do. Ye Changsheng was drinking tea and relaxing in the Eternal Life Pavilion at the top of Qinghu Peak. I saw my second son Ye Changyu coming out of the Sordeo Heavenly Palace trial. Ye Changsheng thought that he had not spoken to his son for a long time, so he immediately sent a message paper talisman to Ye Changyu. Ye Changyu was stunned after receiving the summons paper talisman and quickly rushed over. I've met my father. Ye Changyu bowed and said, no need to be polite. Ye Changsheng waved his hand and said, come, sit down. Ye Changsheng pointed to the stone bench beside him and said, have tea. Ye Changsheng said. Ye Changsheng poured a pot of spiritual tea for his son. Thank you, father. Ye Changyu said respectfully. Seeing Ye Changyu's respectful look, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but sigh. After all, they are not as close as a mortal father and son. The two have only met a dozen times, so there is no time to cultivate the relationship between father and son. It is impossible to have the same common father-son relationship as in the previous life. Maybe this is a gain and loss after retiring from immortality. Jua, how are you doing with your training in the Sordeo Heavenly Palace? Ye Changsheng asked with concern. Ye Changyu took a sip of tea and said, reporting to my father, The child has been able to remain undefeated for a quarter of an hour under the joint attack of 36 early stage foundation building sword puppets. Ye Changsheng nodded approvingly and said, yes, you can achieve this at the 3rd level of foundation building. You are now a rare opponent at the early level of foundation building. Even the saints of the great sect are nothing more than this. This is the magic weapon that my father has equipped for the child to protect him well. Otherwise the child would not be able to persist for so long. Ye Changsheng said point after Ye Changsheng advanced to the foundation building stage. Ye Changsheng equipped him with several sets of top level magic weapons and a Xiangan point enough for him to cope with various situations. Well, do you need anything recently? Ye Changsheng asked with concern. My child doesn't have any needs. I just want to go shopping in Unwavering City. Please ask your father for permission. Ye Changsheng said. Oh, what is there to see in Unwavering City? Ye Changsheng had doubts. Although Unwavering City was also a 3rd order city, it was far inferior to the 4th order fairy city Lingxiao Fairy City. Ye Changsheng originally planned to find an opportunity to take him to Lingxiao Immortal City, to live for a while, to broaden his horizons, and to let him communicate with others. This child has been trapped on Qinghu Peak since he was born. During his leisure time, he can only visit several spiritual peaks under the name of Qinghu Peak and the Yi family fairy city. Ye Changsheng was too strict, like a caged bird, which was indeed a bit pitiful. At this time, Ye Changsheng seemed to understand something, based on the information submitted by the recent family. Is the Zuanian sect looking for a son-in-law in Unwavering City recently? Ye Changsheng asked a little playfully. Ye Changsheng looked a little embarrassed when he was asked. Cough, cough. Yes. As he spoke, he lowered his head. Ye Changsheng understood that this child was in love with Spring. Ha ha ha. Isn't it natural for a man to recruit girls privately? There is nothing to be ashamed of. Besides, you are already 23 years old, and you have already reached the age where you should start a family and marry a wife. If it weren't for your foundation building, my father would have married you a long time ago. Ye Changsheng said with a smile. Father, don't get me wrong, I just want to see the excitement. Ye Changsheng said a little shyly. Haha, stop talking, I already know it. However, although Zuanian sect is a 4th level sect, although the female monks they send out to recruit husbands are beautiful, their qualifications are generally not good. Those with good qualifications stay in the sect, and those who are not allowed to marry outside. Ye Changsheng thought deeply for a moment and said, but even the beautiful monk with two spiritual roots in the Zuanian sect is not worthy of my son. Let's do this. I will take you to Lingxiao Immortal City tomorrow to show you around and help you choose a suitable wife. Ye Changsheng said. Father makes the decision in everything. Ye Changsheng said. By the way, after listening to Ye Changsheng understood his son's thoughts at a glance. Then the two talked about Taoism for a while. The next day, Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng drove us into Lingxiao Immortal City at lightning speed. This was Ye Changsheng's first time to go out so far, and he felt extremely novel about all the scenery under the flying boat. He lay beside the window of the flying boat, staring intently at the changing scenery below. I saw undulating mountains and rivers, sometimes passing by lush forests, sometimes flying over endless grasslands. Occasionally, you can still see scattered mortal villages, with smoke curling up from cooking fires, just like in a painting. Father, what is that? Ye Changsheng asked, pointing to a towering mountain peak in the distance. Ye Changsheng smiled and explained, that is the 5-element mountain. Legend has it that an ancient great master attained enlightenment here. The mountain contains the power of the 5-element. It is a good holy land for cultivation. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190. A good match. Ye Changsheng nodded repeatedly, his eyes flashing with a desire for knowledge. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng began to introduce his son to various things he saw and did not know. The world of immortal cultivation is vast and boundless, far from being comparable to the corner of King Hu Peak. Be cautious when you go out to practice, and remember not to offend others easily, Ye Changsheng said earnestly, especially those disciples of the big sects. They have powerful backers behind them, and you still have to know how to avoid them when you can't afford to offend them. Ye Changsheng listened carefully and nodded from time to time. The flying boat continued to move forward, passing through several immortal cities on the way, each of which had its own characteristics, which opened Ye Changsheng's eyes. Time passed quickly in novelty and learning, and half a month passed in a blink of an eye. Finally, Linxiao Immortal City appeared on the horizon. From a distance, Linxiao Immortal City looked like a huge sky city. Suspended above the clouds, countless flying boats shuttled back and forth. With aura and auspicious clouds, the city walls towered into the sky. The city gates were majestic and magnificent, and the whole fairy city exuded an indescribable sacred atmosphere. Wow, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but exclaimed, "Is this Linxiao fairy city? It's so spectacular." Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded. "Yes, this is the most prosperous fairy city in our great Zhaozuxan world. There are hidden dragons and crouching tigers, and masters are like clouds." Then, the two entered the city smoothly. Ye Changsheng led Ye Changsheng to stroll in Linxiao Fairy City. The streets were bustling with people coming and going, and all kinds of strange cultivators could be seen everywhere. There were demon cultivators with horns on their heads, body refining cultivators with fire all over their bodies, and animal trainers riding all kinds of spirit beasts. Ye Changsheng was full of curiosity about everything, looking around, and was overwhelmed. He saw the medicine shop selling all kinds of elixirs, the magic weapon shop selling rare treasures, and the market specializing in trading spirit beasts. Every time he went to a place, he would stop to watch and excitedly ask his father about the origins of these new things. "Father, what is that?" Ye Changsheng pointed to a magnificent building and asked. "That's an auction house specializing in auctioning various rare treasures," Ye Changsheng explained, "but the things inside are expensive, and ordinary people can't afford them." Ye Changsheng nodded thoughtfully and continued to follow his father forward. They passed by several restaurants, and the aroma made Ye Changsheng swallow his saliva. "Do you want to eat?" Ye Changsheng asked with a smile. Ye Changsheng nodded embarrassedly. So, the father and son entered a restaurant called Zxianlao. The dishes here are all cooked with various spiritual materials, and the taste is extremely delicious, which made Ye Changsheng feast on them. After lunch, Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng bid farewell to Zxianlao and strolled on the bustling streets of Linxiao Fairy City. Ye Changsheng was very curious about the prosperous scene of this 4th level fairy city, and looked around in a daze. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng was secretly pleased, and felt that it was the right decision to bring his son here to broaden his horizons. "Chua, let's go to a place next, where you may have unexpected gains," Ye Changsheng said mysteriously. Ye Changsheng asked curiously, "Father, what place is it?" "You will know soon." Ye Changsheng kept it a secret and led his son to the inner city. After passing through several wide streets, the father and son came to an ancient and elegant building. The 3 big characters Xianji Pavilion on the door plaque shone brightly, exuding a mysterious atmosphere. Xianji Pavilion is one of the largest intelligence organizations in the world of cultivation. Ye Changsheng introduced to his son, "Here are all kinds of information from the world. We come here to find out some news." After hearing this, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but feel a little nervous and excited. He had never been to such a high-end place and didn't know what his father's purpose was. As soon as the two entered the Xianji Pavilion, a middle-aged foundation building cultivator in gorgeous clothes came up to greet them and bowed respectfully, saying, "I didn't know you were coming. I'm sorry for not welcoming you from afar." Ye Changsheng nodded slightly and said, "Shopkeeper, there's no need to be polite. I came here today to ask about something important. Do you have a secret room?" "Of course, please follow me." The shopkeeper made a gesture of invitation and led the father and son through the hall to a secret room in the backyard. After entering the secret room, Ye Changsheng stated his purpose straight to the point. "I want to inquire about the beautiful women with natural spiritual roots who have not married in Dazao and the surrounding 4 countries. I want a list of cultivators who have built their foundation before the age of 30. After hearing this, the shopkeeper pondered for a moment and said, Senior Ye, this information is quite precious and requires 1.2 million spirit stones. When Ye Changsheng heard this astronomical figure, his eyes widened, and he showed an expression of disbelief. He didn't expect a list to be so expensive. However, Ye Changsheng remained calm, took out a bulging bag from his storage bag, and handed it to the shopkeeper. Here are 1.2 million spirit stones, please check it. The shopkeeper took the bag, carefully checked it, and nodded with satisfaction. Then he left the secret room, and after half a quarter of an hour, the shopkeeper came back. He then took out a jade slip from his bosom, and handed it to Ye Changsheng respectfully. Senior Ye, the information you want is all in this jade slip. Please take a look. Ye Changsheng took the jade slip and probed into it with his spiritual sense. After a moment, he nodded with satisfaction and said, yes, there are 23 women in it. All of them are beautiful, and their appearance is considered the best among the beauties I have seen. Ye Changsheng was immediately interested when he heard his father's comments, and he could not wait to take the jade slip from Ye Changsheng. When his spiritual sense probed into the jade slip and saw the appearance of more than 20 beautiful women in it, he could not help but be stunned. These women were not only beautiful, but the jade slip also contained dynamic images of them talking and playing, which were lifelike, as if they were right in front of him. Ye Changsheng was fascinated by it, and a silly smile appeared on his face unconsciously. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng shook his head helplessly. He thought that his son seemed to be a little foolish, and he had to find more beautiful female companions for him in the future to make him more knowledgeable, and not lose his composure like this. After 2 hours, Ye Changsheng reluctantly withdrew his spiritual sense from the jade slip. Seeing his son finally finished reading, Ye Changsheng asked, Jua, which of these women do you like best? Ye Changsheng answered hesitantly, I like Zhao Liao from the Great Yang Kingdom the most. Ye Changsheng nodded, knowing that Zhao Liao was indeed the most outstanding one among them. She had bright eyes and white teeth, and was gorgeous. The most important thing was that she had just broken through the foundation building stage. She was only 21 years old and was about the same age as Ye Changsheng. They were a perfect match. Okay, since you like her, I will marry her for you, Ye Changsheng said with a smile. Ye Changsheng jumped up excitedly when he heard this and thanked him repeatedly. Thank you, father. Thank you, father. Seeing his son's happy expression, Ye Changsheng was also relieved. After saying goodbye to the shopkeeper, the father and son walked out of the Xianji pavilion. Chapter 191 Flower Language Zhao Family. Ye Changsheng left Linxiao Immortal City with Ye Changsheng and drove the Xing flying boat towards the Great Yang Kingdom at lightning speed. After a month and a half, Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng finally arrived at Uaiu Peak in Yang Kingdom. This is a third level high grade spiritual vein, famous for its sea of flowers on the flower language peak. The 4 seasons are like spring, with hundreds of flowers blooming in the air filled with a light floral fragrance. All kinds of spiritual flowers are shining with crystal light in the sun, like a sea of flowers. The mountain peaks are filled with spiritual energy, like a fairyland. In front of the mountain gate of Uaiu Peak, there are carved beams and painted buildings, which are magnificent, and reveal the history of the Zhao family for thousands of years. Ye Changsheng pressed the Xing flying boat, released the Zifu key pressure, and said to the Zhao family disciple who was guarding the door, the head of the King's Huyi family of Zhao has come to pay homage to the mountain. Please inform me. The disciple of the Zhao family who was guarding the gate felt the pressure of the ancestor of the Zifu, and immediately panicked. He quickly saluted and said, Senior, wait a moment, I will go and report it now. Not long after, a late-stage foundation building monk led several Zhao family disciples out and greeted him respectfully. I, Zhao Changsheng, the head of the Zhao family, have met Senior Ye. The 2 supreme elders of the Zifu period are in retreat. Please invite Ye. Forgive me, Senior. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly, nodded and said, Master Zhao, you're welcome. Zhao Changsheng made an invitation gesture and led Ye Changsheng and his son into the Zhao family compound. Along the way, Ye Changsheng was attracted by the Zhao family's grandeur and the beautiful scenery of spiritual flowers, and couldn't help but sigh. Father, this Zhao family is indeed worthy of being the 1,000-year-old Zifu family in the Yan Kingdom. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, yes, the Zhao family has a profound and extraordinary foundation. When he arrived at the living room, Zhao Xianheng invited Ye Changsheng to take a seat and served him tea. After the two exchanged a few words, Ye Changsheng took out a jade box, handed it to Zhao Xianheng and said, when I first came to Zhao's house, I didn't have any good gifts. I got 2 third-level purple moon fruits by chance before. It's a small gift. I hope you won't dislike it. Zhao Xianheng took the jade box and opened it, and was shocked. Purple moon fruit is a 3rd level spiritual fruit, which is extremely precious, and can improve cultivation, and enhance spiritual power. He quickly said, Senior Ye, this gift is too valuable, and the Zhao family deserves it. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, Master Zhao, you don't have to be polite. I really want to ask for something from the Zhao family this time. Naturally, this meeting gift cannot be too light. Zhao Xianheng nodded in agreement, secretly thinking about the purpose of Ye Changsheng's trip. He said, Senior Ye is a distinguished guest, so I will go and report to the ancestor. Not long after, Zhao Xianheng walked in with an old man in purple robe. Zhao Xianheng introduced, this is one of the ancestors of the Zifu of my Zhao family, Zhao Benfang. Ye Changsheng stood up and saluted and said, I have met my Taoist friend. After the three of them sat down, Zhao Benfang asked enthusiastically, fellow Daoist Ye, why are you here this time? If you need any help, just ask. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and said slowly, to be honest, this junior has come here to ask for something. I heard that Miss Zhao Liao from your mansion is extremely talented and has the appearance of a fairy. Quanzi has admired her for a long time and wants to marry her. As soon as these words came out, Zhao Benfang's face suddenly became serious. He said in a deep voice, fellow Daoist Ye, our Zhao family can consider all other requests, but this one cannot be considered. Li Yao is the seed of the Z family of my Zhao family. She has a great relationship and will never marry outside. Ye Changsheng was well prepared and said calmly, Senior, don't refuse in a hurry. You might as well listen to my conditions. Zhao Benfang shook his head decisively. No need to say any more. There is no room for negotiation on this matter. Seeing Zhao Benfang's firm attitude, Ye Changsheng said no more. He took out 2 exquisite jade boxes from the storage bag and opened them slowly. Zhao Benfang took a deep breath and lost his voice. This Zifu pill? Ye Changsheng nodded and confirmed, yes, and it is a top grade Zifu pill. There is an 80% chance of breaking through to the Zifu realm after taking it. A flash of excitement flashed in Zhao Benfang's eyes, but he soon returned to calm. He pondered for a moment and said, fellow Daoist Ye, this matter is of great importance and I cannot make the decision alone. I need to ask Zhao He, the supreme elder of the Zhao family, to make the decision personally. Ye Changsheng expressed his understanding. Then it's Senior Liao. Not long after, Zhao Benfang led an older looking old man in. Ye Changsheng immediately stood up to greet him. Judging from the opponent's aura, this Zhao He should be in the middle stage of Zifu. Zhao He exchanged greetings with Ye Changsheng, and his eyes fell on the jade box on the table. After carefully examining it, he nodded and said, it is indeed a top grade Zifu Dan. There is no doubt that fellow Daoist Ye is very skillful. Ye Changsheng said modestly, it's just a little thought. I wonder if the young master in front of me wants to marry my fairy, Zhao. He looked at Ye Changsheng and asked, exactly. I hope that, even though I'm so infatuated with fairy Zhao, I can ask Senior Zhao to fulfill my wish. Ye Changsheng saluted respectfully. Then, what's going on here, Zhao? He asked. I am 23 years old this year. I have dual spiritual roots and a 3rd level cultivation base. Ye Changsheng said, oh, at such a young age, he has reached the 3rd level of foundation building. Although he has 2 spiritual roots, he is not bad at all. He is still barely worthy of my heavenly being, Zhao. he said, a little surprised. Zao he turned to Ye Changsheng and muttered, these two high-grade Zifu pills are indeed precious, and our Zao family also wants to get them. Your son is also worthy of my family's heavenly immortal, but he just wants to exchange for my Zao family's heavenly immortal seeds. I'm afraid these are still a bit lacking. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but smile when he heard this. Dao is right. I naturally didn't think that I could marry the Zao family's celestial being with only 2 top-grade purple mansion pills. In order to compensate your family for the training of Miss Zao Liao, I decided to add 2 more middle-grade purple mansion pills. As he said this, he took out 2 more middle-grade purple mansion pills from the storage bag and placed them on the table. The 2 purple mansion cultivators of the Zao family took a breath again. When they saw this, they didn't expect Ye Changsheng to be able to take out 4 purple mansion pills in one breath, which is an astonishing number that can at least increase the number of purple mansion cultivators by 3. Zhao He and Zhao Benfang looked at each other, and they had already made up their minds. Zhao He cleared his throat and said solemnly, fellow Daoist Ye, since you are so sincere, my Zhao family cannot fail to recognize your kindness. On behalf of the Zhao family, I agree to marry Li Yao to your son, Ye. Shanghai was overjoyed when he heard this, and immediately stood up and bowed deeply to the 2 elders of the purple mansion of the Zhao family, and said excitedly, thank you 2 seniors for your help. Shanghai was grateful. Zhao He and Zhao Benfang nodded and smiled when they saw Ye Shanghai was so polite. Zhao He said kindly, young man, there is no need to be polite. You are talented and well behaved. You are indeed a good child. I believe that you and Li Yao will definitely become a perfect couple. Zhao Benfang also echoed, yes, little friend Yi has such a cultivation at such a young age, and his future is limitless. It is also a good thing for my Zhao family to marry into the Yi family. Chapter 192 Meeting Zhao Liao. Ye Changsheng was very pleased when he saw the 2 elders praising his son so much, and said quickly, thank you 2 fellow Taoists. Shang Yu still needs more experience, and I hope that the seniors will give you more guidance in the future. Zhao He nodded with a smile, and then said, fellow Daoist Ye, you and your son must be tired after coming from afar. I have arranged a superior guest room and asked you to go and rest first. We need to make some preparations these days. 3. I wonder what you 2 would like to invite Li Yao to come out and meet Ye Xiaoyao in the future. Ye Changsheng knew very well that the Zhao family needed time to convince Zhao Liao. He happily agreed. Then it will be as Senior Zhao said. My father and son can just take this opportunity to visit the beautiful scenery of your mansion. In this way, Ye Changsheng and his son settled in the Zhao family. Every day, disciples of the Zhao family accompany them to visit Huayu Peak. Huayu Peak is indeed well deserved. There are all kinds of exotic flowers and plants on the peak, full of spiritual energy and beautiful scenery. Ye Changsheng was amazed by what he saw, and secretly planned in his heart that after the area of Qinghu Peak was expanded, a spiritual peak would be planted with spiritual flowers, to create a resort where spring was like spring all year round and flowers bloomed. During the tour, Ye Changsheng and his son also met many female monks from the Zhao family. These female cultivators are all beautiful in appearance and outstanding in temperament. Many of them had a favorable impression of the handsome Ye Shanghai, and they would steal glances from time to time, and some even took the initiative to strike up a conversation. Obviously, the generosity of the Yi family and his son has spread in the Zhao family, causing quite a stir. Many Zhao family disciples were envious and jealous of Ye Shanghai, and they secretly talked about it. Although Ye Shanghai was young, he was aware of the gazes of the people around him. He maintained a humble and courteous attitude, and responded to all kinds of conversations and inquiries without being humble or condescending. Ye Changsheng saw this and nodded happily, thinking that his son had indeed grown into a stable and mature young man. 3 days later, Ye Changsheng and Ye Shanghai came to the Zhao family living room again. Zhao He and Zhao Benfang were already waiting there, with a beautiful girl standing behind them. This girl looks to be about 17 or 18 years old, with a tall and slender figure, skin as white as snow, and a beautiful face. She has a pair of big eyes that are as clear and moving as autumn water. Her long eyelashes tremble slightly, and the waves in her eyes seem to be charming. She has a straight nose, pink lips, and a light blush on her fair face, like a peach blossom that has just bloomed. The long glossy black hair falls down like a waterfall, and is held up casually with an emerald hairpin, adding a touch of agility and elegance. She was wearing a pale pink dress with exquisite, embroidered patterns on the skirt, and a silver ribbon tied around her waist, which made her slender waist more exquisite. The whole person exudes a fresh and refined temperament, like a hibiscus emerging from the water, standing gracefully. When Ye Changsheng and Ye Changyu saw this girl, they couldn't help but be stunned. Although they had long heard that Zhao Liao was as beautiful as a fairy, they were still shocked by her beauty when they saw it with their own eyes. Seeing this, Zhao he smiled with satisfaction and introduced, "Fellow Daoist Ye, this is the daughter of my Zhao family, Li Yao. Li Yao, this is the senior Ye Changsheng, the head of the Ye family, and this is his young master Ye Changyu." Hearing this, Zhao Liao bowed slightly and said softly, "Liao has met senior Ye and young master Ye." Her voice is like the cry of a lark, clear and sweet, making people feel relaxed and happy. Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded in return. "Miss Liao, there is no need to be polite. It is indeed a beautiful and fragrant country, and it deserves its reputation." Ye Changyu was a little embarrassed, his face was slightly red, and he stammered, "I've met Miss Zhao." Zhao Liao couldn't help but smile when she saw Ye Changyu was so nervous, which made her look even more charming. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little awkward, Zhao Benfang said, "Liao, please take Mr. Ye for a walk in the garden. Let the two young people get to know each other better." Zhao Liao nodded obediently and agreed, "Yes, second grandpa." She turned to Ye Changyu and said, "Mr. Ye, please come with me." Ye Changyu looked at his father, saw Ye Changsheng nodded slightly, and then followed Zhao Liao out of the living room. After the two young people left, Zhao he smiled and said to Ye Changsheng, "Fellow Daoist Ye, how about we go sit in the garden too? Let the young people be alone, and we elders don't disturb them." Ye Changsheng happily agreed, so the three Zifu monks also got up and walked towards the garden. In the garden, Zhao Liao took Ye Changyu for a stroll among the flowers. The breeze blows by, bringing bursts of floral fragrance, adding a bit of romance. Zhao Liao asked softly, "Master Ye, what do you think of our Huayu Peak?" Ye Changyu calmed down a little and replied, "Huayu Peak is so beautiful, there are beautiful scenery everywhere. Especially these spiritual flowers, I have never seen such a prosperous scene anywhere else." Zhao Liao smiled and said, "Huayu Peak is indeed famous for its sea of flowers. I grew up here, and am very familiar with every plant and tree here. If Mr. Yi likes it, I can introduce you to some rare spiritual flowers." Ye Changyu nodded quickly, "Then it's Miss Liao Zhao." As the two walked, Zhao Liao introduced the characteristics and uses of various spiritual flowers to Ye Changyu. Ye Changyu listened carefully and asked some questions from time to time. Gradually, the atmosphere between the two became more relaxed. Walking to a sea of purple flowers, Zhao Liao stopped, pointed at the flowers and said, "Mr. Yi, what kind of flowers do you think these are?" Ye Changyu observed it carefully and said in surprise, "Is this a purple moonflower? I didn't expect that the Zhao family would have such a large field of purple moonflowers." Zhao Liao smiled and nodded, "Yes, Mr. Yi has a good eye. These purple moonflowers are the treasure of our Zhao family, and they are rarely shown to others." Ye Changyu sighed, "No wonder the Zhao family can cultivate the purple moon spirit bee. Having such a large purple moonflower field is indeed a unique advantage." Zhao Liao asked curiously, "Master Yi seems to know purple moonflower very well." Ye Changyu nodded and said, "I have read some classics about purple moonflower. Not only can this spiritual flower cultivate purple moon spirit bees, its petals are also important materials for refining certain elixirs. However, purple moonflower is extremely difficult to cultivate. It's really enviable to have such a large flower field." When Zhao Liao heard this, a hint of admiration flashed in her eyes. "Young Master Yi is very knowledgeable. It seems that you are also very hardworking." Ye Changyu said modestly, "Compared to Miss Zhao, I'm still far behind. Miss Zao is not only beautiful, but also very knowledgeable. Zao. Liao smiled slightly and said, young Master Ye, thank you very much. I just grew up here and have been influenced by it. By the way, do you have any spiritual flowers that Mr. Ye particularly likes? Ye Changsheng thought for a while and replied, my favorite is the epiphyllum. Although it only blooms for one night, the short bloom is particularly beautiful. Chapter 193 Engagement. Zhao Liao's eyes lit up. Master Yi likes epiphyllum? We also have an epiphyllum garden on Flower Language Peak, but it's not the blooming season now. If Master Yi is interested, you can come and see it next time it blooms. Ye Changsheng said in surprise, really? That's great. I will definitely come. The two of them walked like this, while chatting about various spiritual flowers. Before I knew it, I had walked through most of the garden point at the same time. Ye Changsheng and the two Zifu monks from the Zhao family were also chatting on the other side of the garden point. Zhao he smiled and said, fellow Daoist Ye, it seems that the two young people get along well. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, yes, this kid Shengai is usually a bit introverted. I didn't expect that he could have such a good conversation with Miss Zhao today. Zhao. Ben Fang said, Li Yao has been smart since she was a child, and she treats people well. She must have taken the initiative to lead the conversation. The three of them chatted for a while, and Zhao he suddenly said, fellow Daoist Ye, what do you think of our Zhao family? Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and replied, the Zhao family has a profound foundation and strong strength. Especially the Flower Language Peak. It is even more amazing. To be honest, I'm a little envious. Zhao. He laughed loudly. Fellow Daoist Ye, thank you for the award. I heard that the Qinghu Peak of the Yi family is also a rare spiritual place, and it must not be much worse than our Huayu Peak. Ye Changsheng said humbly, where, although our Qinghu Peak is full of spiritual energy, it is still not as beautiful as Huayu Peak. When I came here this time, I really had some thoughts, and wanted to open up a new mountain on Qinghu Peak. It's a sea of flowers. When Zhao Benfang heard this, his eyes lit up. If fellow Daoist Yi has this idea, our Zhao family can provide some help. We have many seeds of rare spiritual flowers, and we can give some to fellow Daoist Yi. Ye Changsheng was overjoyed. That's great. Thank you fellow Daoist Zhao for your generous help. The three of them chatted for a while, and seeing that it was getting late, they decided to go back point that night. Ye Changsheng asked Ye Changsheng what his impression of Zhao Liao was. Ye Changsheng blushed and said, Father, Miss Zhao is not only beautiful, but also knowledgeable, and has a good personality. I like her very much. Ye Changsheng smiled happily. That's good. Since you get along well, I will discuss specific marriage arrangements with the Zhao family. Early the next morning, the Yi family began to get busy in the Zhao family's living room. Dozens of Yi family disciples decorated the living room with joy, with red silk and satin hanging all around, and golden high characters posted on the walls. There was a festive atmosphere everywhere. Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng put on the most formal robes and stood in the center of the living room. Ye Changsheng held a beautiful brocade box in his hand, which contained the engagement gift he had prepared for his son. After a while, everyone from the Zhao family also arrived. Zhao He and Zhao Benfang came slowly with Zhao Liao, who was wearing a bright red dress. The two elders looked at each other and smiled, and Zhao He said, today is a good day. My daughter, Li Yao, of the Zhao family, and Sheng Yu, the son of the Yi family, have entered into a marriage contract. May the two of them be united forever, and have a happy marriage for hundreds of years. Ye Changsheng continued, yes, today is auspicious and auspicious, a match made in heaven. May the two children be a perfect match, and grow old together. Under the gaze of everyone, Ye Changsheng stepped forward, took the brocade box from his father, and handed it to Zhao Liao respectfully. Zhao Liao took it shyly, and opened the box. At Zhao He's signal point, I saw an exquisite second-level flying sword placed in the box. The sword was engraved with exquisite patterns, and the hilt was inlaid with a crystal clear spiritual stone. There is also a pair of jade pendants with concentric knots. Zhao Liao looked at these gifts with a hint of surprise in her eyes. Zhao He smiled and said, fellow Daoist Ye, you are really thoughtful about this gift. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "It's a small thought, but it's not respectful. I hope fellow Taoist Zhao won't dislike it." At this time, Zhao Benfang took out a storage bag and handed it to Ye Changsheng. "This is a meeting gift from our Zhao family to Changsheng. I hope you like it." Ye Changsheng took it respectfully and thanked him. The two elders also said some auspicious words, such as "Give birth to a precious son soon. We will always be united. A happy marriage for 100 years," and so on. The entire engagement ceremony was simple but grand, full of festive atmosphere. After the ceremony, Zhao he said to Ye Changsheng, "Fellow Daoist Ye, how about you and your son staying at Oahu Peak for a few more days? There will be a large-scale auction in Holy Peak City recently, and I want to buy an important elixir. It won't be too late for you to leave after I come back." Ye Changsheng looked at the shy Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao beside him, and with a thought in his heart, he said, "Fellow Daoist Zhao, in that case, why don't we go together? I haven't been to the auction in Holy Peak City either, so I happen to take these two children there too. Sheng, you can also buy Liao some treasures." When Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao heard this, a hint of excitement flashed in their eyes. Obviously, they also want to see the grandeur of a large-scale auction. Seeing this, Zhao he nodded with a smile and said, "What a great idea. Let's go together then. It's just a good time for these two children to get along with each other more and enhance their relationship." Ye Changsheng blushed and nodded. He glanced at Zhao Liao secretly and found that she was also looking at him. They both lowered their heads shyly. Zhao he laughed loudly when he saw this. "It seems that these two children are a perfect match. It's settled. We will set off early tomorrow morning to attend the auction in Holy Peak City." The next day, Zhao he drove his third level middle grade flying boat, and Ye Changsheng drove the Zing, taking Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao with them, rushing to Holy Peak City at lightning speed. Ye Changsheng had heard of Shengfeng City, which was a 5th level fairy city, backed by the 6th level sect Shengdaomen. Shengdaomen governed more than a dozen 5th level sects, including Linxio sect. The Daoan kingdom, where Shengfeng City was located, had a vast territory, larger than more than a dozen countries including the Great Zhao Kingdom. After nearly 2 months of long journey, Ye Changsheng and his party finally arrived outside Shengfeng City. From afar, a majestic city stood on the plain, magnificent. The city wall was hundreds of feet high, and the whole body was cast with a silver white metal, shining brightly in the sun. The city wall was engraved with complex and exquisite runes, and there was a faint flow of spiritual power. It was obviously a powerful defensive formation. The most eye-catching thing was a huge mountain standing in the center of the city, thousands of feet high, reaching into the sky. The entire Shengfeng city was built around this mountain, hence the name. The mountain was surrounded by clouds and mist, and the well-arranged buildings on the mountainside could be vaguely seen, like a fairyland. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but sigh. It is indeed worthy of being a 5th level fairy city, dozens of times more magnificent than Linxio fairy city. Zhao he nodded and said, "Shengfeng City is the gateway to the Holy Dao sect, so it is naturally extraordinary. The city wall is made of 2nd level spiritual gold U0027 Xiangxing silver U0027, which is indestructible. The entire city is built on a 5th level spiritual vein, with abundant spiritual energy, and can be called a holy place for cultivation." Chapter 194 Auction House. The four of them came to the city gate and paid the entrance fee of 500 spiritual stones per person. This price made Ye Changsheng smack his lips, but he was relieved when he thought that this was a 5th level fairy city. After entering the outer city, Ye Changsheng and others were stunned by the prosperous scene in front of them. The wide streets were bustling with people coming and going. There were shops lined up on both sides of the street, selling all kinds of rare treasures. From time to time, there were cultivators flying in the sky with swords, or riding various spiritual beasts. The two young people, Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao, were even more excited, looking around, and they were overwhelmed. Ye Changsheng smiled and reminded, "Don't be silly, this is just the outer city. The scenery in the inner city is more spectacular." The 4 of them passed through the bustling outer city and came to the mountain gate leading to the inner city point. The inner city is actually the huge Changsheng mountain, and the entire mountain has been carved into a city in the mountain point. After entering the inner city, Ye Changsheng and others slowly walked up the winding mountain road point. There were various shops and caves densely distributed on both sides of the mountain road point. Some shops had magnificent facades, and some caves were surrounded by spiritual energy point. From time to time, cultivators came in and out of the caves or bargained in the shops. He explained, Changsheng mountain contains the 5th level spiritual veins, and the entire mountain has been transformed into a holy place for cultivation. Every cave here is a good place for cultivation, and the rent is expensive. Often only large sects or wealthy cultivators can afford it. Ye Changsheng sighed secretly. No wonder this place is so expensive. He thought in his heart that if he could buy a cave here in the future, it would definitely be of great benefit to the development of the family. However, his cultivation is still too low now, and he can't split himself. Along the way, Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao became closer and closer, whispering to each other from time to time and pointing out the surrounding scenery. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng and Zhao both smiled with relief. Finally, the 4 of them arrived in front of a magnificent building in the middle of the mountainside. The 3 characters dealing pavilion on the door plaque shone brightly, and the 2 huge stone lions in front of the door were lifelike, as if they would come alive at any time. Zhao introduced, this dealing pavilion is one of the largest 4th level auction houses in Changsheng City, and several large auctions are held every year. But there is a bigger auction house here, that is the 5th level auction house Xingyuan Pavilion. But our purple mansion period cultivation is low, and we don't have the capital to enter. But it's already very good to be able to come to this 4th level auction house. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, yes, no wonder we met so many cultivators along the way. It seems that they all came for this auction. The 4 people walked into the dealing pavilion, and immediately a waiter came forward to greet them. Knowing that they were here to participate in the auction, the waiter respectfully led them to a luxurious box. The box was luxuriously decorated and full of spiritual energy. Through the crystal window, you can overlook the entire auction hall with an excellent viewpoint. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao looked around excitedly, with excited smiles on their faces. Ye Changsheng and Zhao smiled at each other, both satisfied with the performance of the 2 young people. Just then, a melodious bell sounded, and the auction was about to begin. Ye Changsheng and others sat upright, ready to see what the difference was in the large-scale auction of the 5th level fairy city. As the melodious bell sounded, the auction officially began. A beautiful woman in a gorgeous robe slowly walked onto the auction platform. Her appearance was extremely outstanding. The aura of the purple mansion cultivation was looming, and her gestures exuded the charm of a mature woman. Dear distinguished guests, welcome to the Earth Spirit Pavilion to participate in this grand auction. I'm Liu Yun, the host of this auction, and I'm honored to serve you. Liu Yun's voice was like a heavenly sound, with a hint of charm, which made the cultivators present hold their breath and concentrate. Next, let's start today's auction. First, there are 3 3rd level treasures. I believe they will satisfy everyone. Liu Yun said with a smile. The first auction item is a 3rd level spiritual medicine called wind spirit grass. This spiritual medicine grows in deep mountains and valleys, and only one plant can be produced every 100 years. It can not only be used to refine elixirs to improve cultivation, but can also be taken directly to improve spiritual consciousness. After a series of fierce bidding, it was finally sold for 250,000 spiritual stones. The second auction item is a piece of star stone. This 3rd level ore contains the power of stars, which can be used to refine magic tools or to arrange formations. Its special feature is that it can absorb moonlight and starlight to enhance the power of magic tools or formations. After a fierce competition, it was finally sold for 320,000 spiritual stones. The 3rd auction item is a 3rd level low-grade flying sword named King Hong. This flying sword is emerald green, and there is a faint rainbow light flowing on the sword. It is not only extremely sharp, but also has the ability to track the enemy. It is a rare weapon with both offensive and defensive capabilities. After Many sod cultivators competed for it. It was finally sold for 1.55 million spirit stones. Next, the auction continued, and more than a dozen rare items were auctioned one after another, including various elixirs, magic tools, talismans, etc. Although Ye Changsheng and others were quite interested in some items, they did not make a move. They were waiting for the third level medium grade spirit medicine that Zhao wanted to buy. Earth Dragon Ginseng. Finally, the Earth Dragon Ginseng was put on the auction table. Liu Yan introduced. This Earth Dragon Ginseng grows thousands of feet deep underground, absorbs the essence of the earth, and matures after 300 years. It can not only be used to refine longevity pills, but can also be taken directly to enhance physical strength. The starting price is 1.5 million spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 50,000 spirit stones. As soon as the voice fell, someone shouted, 350,000, 400,000. Another voice followed closely. Zhao also immediately bid, 450,000. The price soon broke through the 500,000 mark. Ye Changsheng looked at Zhao with some worry, but the latter looked normal, as if he had a plan in mind. When the price reached 550,000, there were obviously fewer bidders at this time. A gloomy voice sounded, 600,000. Zhao. He frowned, then shouted, 650,000. The gloomy voice said again, 700,000. The scene was in a stalemate for a while. Just as Liu Yan was about to announce the deal, Zhao suddenly shouted, 750,000. The whole audience was in an uproar, and the person who bid 700,000 was silent. 750,000. For the first time. 750,000 for the second time. 750,000 for the third time. Deal. Liu Yan announced excitedly. Zhao breathed a sigh of relief, with a satisfied smile on his face. Ye Changsheng was also happy that his friend got what he wanted. At the final stage of the auction, Liu Yan smiled mysteriously and said, the next item to be auctioned is the fourth to last item of this auction. I believe it will surprise everyone. She waved her hand lightly, and an exquisite jade box appeared on the auction table. Chapter 195 Half Spiritual Fruit. Liu Yan carefully opened the jade box, and there were two crystal clear fruits lying inside, emitting a faint light. This is U-0,027 semi-spiritual fruit. U-0,027, an extremely rare 4th level spiritual fruit. After taking it, a foundation building monk can obtain the effect of a semi-spiritual body within 20 years, and his cultivation speed can be increased by 50%. We are lucky this time. If you get two, they will be auctioned separately. The starting price is 2 million spirit stones, and each increase in price must not be less than 100,000. As soon as this statement came out, the whole place was in an uproar. The eyes of many foundation building monks were shining with desire, including Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao. Ye Changsheng saw the reactions of the two young people, and made secret calculations in his heart. He had planned to give a precious cultivation resource to his future daughter-in-law, and this semi-spiritual fruit was undoubtedly an excellent choice. 2 million and 1 million. Someone makes the first bid. 2 million and 2 million. 2 million 300,000. The price soon soared to 3.5 million. At this time, Ye Changsheng spoke. 3.6 million. Zhao. He glanced at Ye Changsheng in surprise, then understood his intention, and did not take action. 3 million and 700,000. Someone raise the price again. Ye Changsheng said calmly. 3.8 million. 3.8 million for the first time. 3.8 million for the second time. 3.8 million for the third time. Deal. Liu Yan announced. After getting the first semi-spiritual fruit, Ye Changsheng said to Zhao Liao, this semi-spiritual fruit is given to you. Just think of it as a token of your aunt and me. Zhao Liao was surprised and happy, and thanked her repeatedly. Zhao also looked at Ye Changsheng gratefully, feeling even more satisfied with the marriage. The auction for the second semi-spiritual fruit will begin soon. This time Ye Changsheng shouted directly, 4 million. Seeing Ye Changsheng being so decisive, others hesitated. But some people were still unwilling to give in. 4 million and 1 million. Ye Changsheng did not hesitate. 4,200,000. In the end, the second half spirit fruit was also taken by Ye Changsheng. He handed the fruit to Ye Changsheng and said with a smile, "Practice well, Ye." Changsheng took the half spirit fruit excitedly and thanked him repeatedly. He watched Ye Changsheng purchase such an expensive 4th level fruit for the two young people. Feeling envious and grateful in his heart. He couldn't help but admired. "Brother Ye, you are really generous. These semi-spiritual fruits are 4th level high-grade spiritual fruits and are extremely valuable. You bought 2 of them at once, which is really admirable, Ye." Changsheng smiled and shook his head and said, "What is this? It's the time when the children need training resources. Besides, Li Yao will soon become the daughter-in-law of our Ye family, so I still have to express my sincerity." Zhao He was even more happy after hearing this. He turned to Zhao Liao and said with a smile, "Liao, look how much Uncle Ye loves you. The husband I found for you is indeed the right choice. The Ye family has such strong financial resources. You can advance to the realm of Zifu. It's just a matter of time. Maybe there will be a chance to hit the unattainable Taoist realm in the future." After hearing her father's words, Zhao Liao blushed on her face, but her eyes shone with excitement. She bowed deeply to Ye Changsheng again and said sincerely, "Thank you Uncle Ye for your love. I will definitely practice hard and live up to your expectations, Ye." Changsheng looked at the semi-spiritual fruit in his hand and was very excited. He solemnly said to his father, "Father, I will definitely cherish this opportunity, practice hard, and live up to your expectations." At this moment, Liu Yan on the auction stage cleared her throat and announced, "Fellow Taoists, the next step is the finale of our auction. The last 3 lots are all high quality products in the 4th level, and they can even be it's a masterpiece. I believe it will open your eyes." As soon as this statement came out, the entire auction house suddenly became excited. All the monks sat upright and stared at the auction table with burning eyes. Liu Yan continued with a smile. "The first auction item is a 4th level high grade flying sword. U0027 Qingshan U0027. This sword is forged from meteorite iron, and the sword body contains the power of ice. When swinging the sword, it can be frozen in a radius of 100 feet, and has infinite power. It is said that this sword was once the sword of an elder of the Beaming sect, and it was later found in the hands of our Diling Pavilion. The starting price is 5 million spirit stones, and each increase must not be less than 100,000. As soon as he finished speaking, someone shouted impatiently, 6 million, 6.5 million, 7 million. The price soon exceeded the tens of millions mark. In the end, this green frost sword was bought by a middle-aged monk wearing a blue robe for 13 million. Liu Yan nodded with satisfaction and then took out the second lot. It was a palm-sized jade box. She opened the box carefully and saw a crystal clear elixir lying inside. This second auction item is a 4th level exquisite elixir, U0027 9-turn golden elixir U0027. This elixir is refined from 9 rare elixirs. After taking it, it can increase the monk's cultivation level for 100 years, and even more. There is a small chance of breaking through the current realm. Diling Pavilion spent a lot of money to buy this elixir from a hidden alchemy master. The starting price is 8 million spirit stones, and each increase must not be less than 200,000. This time, the auction house was even crazier. Many monks were red-eyed and rushed to make quotations. 10 million, 12 million, 15 million. Finally, this 9-turn golden pill was bought by an old man who looked hundreds of years old at a sky-high price of 23 million. When Liu Yan took out the last lot, everyone held their breath. She was holding an ancient bronze tripod in her hand, which was engraved with mysterious runes. This last lot is a 4th level top grade magic weapon U0027 Jiling Dingu 0027. This tripod can gather spiritual energy within a radius of 1,000 miles, greatly improving the speed of cultivation. What's more magical is that it can also purify various spiritual medicines and fruits and improve their quality. It is said that this tripod is a treasure left by a great man in ancient times. After many twists and turns, it finally fell into the hands of our Diling Pavilion. The starting price is 10 million spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 500,000. This time, the entire auction house was completely boiling point. Even some big wigs who usually don't make much money couldn't sit still. 15 million, 20 million, 25 million. The price soared all the way and soon broke through the 30 million mark point. Finally, after a fierce bidding, this gathering spirit cauldron was bought by an old man in a golden robe with an unfathomable aura at a sky-high price of 42 million. When Liu Yan announced the end of the auction, the entire auction hall was immersed in an indescribable excitement. Ye Changsheng, Zhao He, Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao also felt extremely satisfied and greatly opened their eyes when walking out of the Earth Spirit Pavilion. Ye Changsheng was still excitedly discussing the auction just now. He said to Ye Changsheng, "Father, that U-0,027 gathering spirit cauldron U-0,027 is really amazing. If we can have such a treasure, wouldn't the speed of cultivation be several times faster?" Chapter 196 Li Yangxiao. Ye Changsheng smiled and shook his head, saying, "That kind of treasure is not something we can covet now. But you don't have to be discouraged. When your cultivation is higher and our family's foundation is stronger, maybe we can also own such a treasure." Zhao. He also sighed. Yes, today's auction is really eye-opening. Each of those auction items is priceless and fascinating. But it's normal. After all, this is a 5th level fairy city. Things that can be auctioned here are naturally extraordinary. Zhao. Liao listened to everyone's discussion. With a gleam of longing in her eyes, the four of them walked down the mountain. While talking, Ye Changsheng and his 4 friends quickly left the inner city and found an inn with a 3rd level spiritual land in the outer city to stay. The next morning, Zhao He brought Zhao Liao to find Ye Changsheng and his son. Zhao He suggested, "Brother Ye, why don't we spend another day in the outer city? Let Shengai and Liao have a good experience." Ye Changsheng readily agreed. He was looking forward to this, so that his son and Zhao Liao could deepen their relationship. So the 4 of them went together and began to tour the outer city. They visited several boutique 2nd level shops one after another. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao saw many magic tools, elixirs and various rare treasures that they had never seen before. Every time they went to a place, the knowledgeable Zhao He always acted as a guide, explaining the origins and uses of various treasures to the 2 young people. Although Ye Changsheng had also cultivated to the Purple Mansion stage, he had only been practicing Taoism for more than 40 years and had not seen many scenes. In order to avoid being exposed, he could only pretend to be profound, smiling and nodding from time to time, and rarely expressed his opinions in terms of knowledge. He couldn't catch up with Zhao He, who had practiced for 150 or 60 years. Just as the 4 of them walked out of a pill shop, a group of white-robed monks came over, about a dozen foundation building monks. The leader was a man in white, who looked to be in his early 20s, handsome and elegant. The man in white had a slender and upright figure, a jade-like face, and sharp eyebrows and eyes. His long black hair was casually tied up with a jade hairpin, adding a bit of unrestrained and unruly point. His eyes were as clear as water, with a faint smile on the corners of his mouth, and his every move showed the demeanor of a nobleman. A green jade longsword was hanging around his waist, and the scabbard was inlaid with several pearls, shining in the sun. The man in white saw Zhao Liao at a glance, and his face immediately showed ecstasy. He quickly stepped forward and shouted, "Liao, Zhao." Liao was delighted and nervous when she saw this man. She opened her mouth, but didn't say anything. At this time, Zhao He hurriedly introduced to Ye Changsheng and his son. "This is one of the 10 great disciples of King He sect, a 4th level sect in the great Yan immortal cultivation world, named Li Yangxiao. He is a famous Purple Mansion seed of King He sect, with a natural spiritual root qualification, and is 23 years old this year. Young Master Li is also the proud disciple of Li Zuanqing, the powerful elder of King Gan sect and a Purple Mansion late cultivator." Ye Changsheng was shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect that the young man in front of him had such a prominent identity and background. He looked at Li Yangxiao calmly, only to see that the other party was staring at Zhao Liao with a burning gaze, full of tenderness in his eyes. Li Yangxiao smiled and asked Zhao Liao, "Liao, long time no see. I didn't expect to meet you here. It's great, Zhao. Liao lowered her head and whispered, hello, brother Yangxiao. When Ye Changsheng saw this scene, he suddenly felt an inexplicable jealousy in his heart. He subconsciously took a step closer to Zhao Liao, looking at Li Yangxiao vigilantly. Seeing this, Zhao he hurriedly tried to smooth things over, saying, Mr. Li, what a coincidence. We are taking Liao and her friends to stroll around the outer city to broaden our horizons. Li Yangxiao then noticed Zhao He and Ye Changsheng and his son, and politely bowed and said, I'm Li Yangxiao, and I'm honored to meet the two seniors and this fellow Taoist. Ye Changsheng replied, I'm Ye Changsheng, and this is my son Ye Changsheng. Li Yangxiao's eyes stayed on Ye Changsheng for a moment, and he seemed to have noticed something, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes, but he quickly recovered, and said with a smile, since we have met, why don't we stroll together? I'm also quite familiar with this Changfeng city, and perhaps I can introduce some interesting places to you. Li Yangxiao's proposal was agreed by everyone. So, this elegant young cultivator began to lead everyone to visit various attractions in Changfeng city. He talked and laughed, and knew the historical allusions of various places like the back of his hand. From time to time, he also interspersed some interesting anecdotes in the world of immortal cultivation, which attracted praise from everyone. Only Zhao Liao kept her head down, as if she was worried. She would secretly glance at Li Yangxiao from time to time, then quickly lower her head, with a faint blush on her face. Ye Changsheng noticed this, and was quite unhappy, but it was difficult to say anything. Walking to a busy street, Li Yangxiao pointed to a gorgeously decorated shop in front and said, the Zuanshan Pavilion in front is the most famous foundation building magic weapon shop in Changfeng city. The magic weapons inside are not only of high quality, but also of novel styles, and are very popular among young cultivators. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up, and he had an idea and said, I haven't bought anything precious for the IAO yet. This store looks good, why don't we go in and take a look? As he said that, he pulled Zhao Liao's hand without saying anything. Zhao Liao suddenly panicked, subconsciously glanced at Li Yangxiao, and tried to break free from Ye Changsheng's hand. But Ye Changsheng held it very tightly. She struggled a few times but failed. She had no choice but to lower her head with a red face and let Ye Changsheng lead her into the store. Li Yangxiao had a panoramic view of this scene. His face instantly became gloomy, a trace of anger flashed in his eyes, and he glared at Ye Changsheng hatefully. But he quickly returned to normal, and followed everyone into the store. The store is filled with a dazzling array of items, with all kinds of magical instruments filling the shelves. There are common magic weapons such as flying swords, robes, and storage bags, as well as some weird gadgets. Ye Changsheng looked around, took out a bulging storage bag from his arms, handed it to Ye Changsheng and said, there are 5 million spirit stones in it, you can choose as you like. As soon as these words came out, everyone present looked at Ye Changsheng in shock. Even Zhao He, who had always been calm, couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. 5 million spirit stones is an astronomical figure for ordinary monks. Even a family with a rich heritage like the Zhao family would not easily come up with so many spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng was overjoyed when he heard this. He quickly took the storage bag and glanced at his father gratefully. He turned around and said to Zhao Liao, just tell me what you like. You're welcome, Zhao. Liao was a little at a loss. She secretly glanced at Li Yangxiao and found that he was staring at her coldly, and she suddenly felt even more embarrassed. She forced a smile and whispered, Aiko, you are too polite. In fact, I don't need anything expensive. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Hunshanling. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but pulled her around the store. When Li Yangxiao saw this, his expression became more and more gloomy. He suppressed his anger and followed the two of them, interjecting from time to time to introduce the characteristics of a certain magical weapon. Zhao He and Ye Changsheng stood aside, silently observing the undercurrent among the young people. Ye Changsheng suddenly said directly to the shopkeeper, "Take out the best second level magic weapon you have here. I want to give it to my fiancée." As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng looked at Zhao Liao in shock, only to see her head lowered lower and her face turned crimson. The Qinghe sect disciples behind Li Yangxiu also looked at each other, obviously surprised by the news. The shopkeeper's eyes lit up, and he immediately said enthusiastically, "Sir, wait a moment, I'm going to get the best magic weapon in our store." After a while, the shopkeeper came out holding an exquisite brocade box. He carefully opened the box and took out a crystal clear shield. "This is the best second level defensive weapon in our store. U0027 Jade Biscuit Streamer Shield U0027. The shopkeeper introduced. This shield is made of high quality spiritual jade and contains 9 defensive formations. It is not only powerful in defense, but can also reflect some attacks. It is most suitable for female cultivators." Zhao Liao was attracted by the shield in front of her. She carefully touched the smooth surface of the shield, her eyes sparkling with fondness. Seeing this, the shopkeeper struck, "While the iron was hot, this shield is worth 300,000 spirit stones. But for the sake of the young master, I can give you a discount of 280,000. Seeing that Zhao Liao liked her, Ye Changsheng reached out to take out the spirit stone, but was interrupted by Li Yangxiu. "Wait a minute," Li Yangxiu said lightly, "although this shield is good, it is not worthy of Li Yao. Shopkeeper, there should be better magic weapons in your store, right? Let me introduce myself. I'm Li Yangxiu, one of the top 10 disciples of Dayan Qinghe sect. My master is Elder Li Zuanqing, a great monk in the later period of Z Mansion." After Li Yangxiu finished speaking, a trace of pride could not help but appear on his face, and the Qinghe sect disciple behind him also raised his head slightly. The shopkeeper was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly realized, it turns out that Mr. Li is here. How disrespectful. Mr. Li is right, we do have better magic weapons. We just don't show them to others easily. Please wait a moment. After saying that, the shopkeeper hurried into the inner room. After a while, he walked out holding a jade sword box in both hands. "This is the treasure of our store. U0027 Qingshang Sword U0027. The shopkeeper carefully opened the sword box and took out a long sword that was all green. This sword is a second level magic weapon containing the power of frost. Not only is it extremely sharp, it can also freeze enemies. Even if it is a third level magic weapon, it may not can withstand its blow." Li Yangxiu took the long sword, waved it lightly a few times, and nodded with satisfaction. "Yes, this sword is indeed a fine product. Shopkeeper, how many spiritual stones does this sword have?" The shopkeeper smiled and said, "This sword was originally priced at 500,000 spirit stones. But for Mr. Li's sake, 450,000 is fine." When Li Yangxiu heard this, his expression became more and more proud. He was about to take out the spirit stone to pay the bill, but was interrupted by Ye Changsheng. "Wait a minute." Ye Changsheng said calmly, "I can guarantee that this shopkeeper has a better magic weapon in his hand." As he spoke, he took out 1 million spirit stones directly from the storage bag and placed them neatly on the counter. "Shopkeeper, please bring out your best magic weapon." Ye Changsheng said calmly. This scene shocked everyone present. The expressions of Li Yangxiu and the disciples of Qinghe sect changed. Zhao He and Zhao Liao also looked at Ye Changsheng dumbfounded. The shopkeeper was dazzled by the piles of spiritual stones in front of him. He swallowed his saliva and hesitated for a long time before saying, "This young man has really good eyesight. To be honest, we do have a real treasure in our store. It's just that he never shows off to others, and even the Qingshang sword just now can only be regarded as second rate." With that said, the shopkeeper took out a jade box from the deepest part of the counter. He carefully opened the jade box and took out a colorful silk satin. "This is an ancient treasure named U0027 Huntian Ling U0027. The shopkeeper introduced. "This treasure can be used offensively or defensively, with endless variations. The most rare thing is that even a monk in the early stages of foundation building can control it perfectly. If it is in the hands of a high level monk, its power is unimaginable. When Zhao Liao heard this, a hint of surprise flashed in her eyes. She carefully touched Han Tianling and felt a gentle spiritual power coming from her fingertips, as if this magical weapon was born for her. Seeing this, the shopkeeper said with a smile, "It seems that this lady and Han Tianling are very destined. The price of this magical weapon is 1.2 million spirit stones, which is definitely worth the money." When Li Yangxiu heard the price, his expression suddenly turned ugly. He touched the storage bag, finally sighed and lowered his head. Seeing that Zhao Liao liked Han Tianling so much, Ye Changsheng took out another 200,000 spirit stones without hesitation and put them on the counter. "I bought this Han Tianling," Ye Changsheng said lightly. The shopkeeper was overjoyed and quickly wrapped up Han Tianling and handed it to Ye Changsheng respectfully. Zhao Liao took Han Tianling and stroked it lovingly. She glanced at Ye Changsheng gratefully with a sweet smile on her face. When Li Yangxiu saw this scene, his face became terrifyingly gloomy. He took a deep breath and forced a smile. "I didn't expect Mr. Yi to be so generous. It seems that I didn't recognize the great man." Ye Changsheng smiled faintly. "Mr. Li, you are too polite. I just want to buy Li Yao a satisfactory gift." Zhao. He saw that the atmosphere was a bit awkward and hurriedly came out to smooth things over. "It's getting late. Let's go back first. If Mr. Yangxiu is free, we can meet again another day." Li Yangxiu followed everyone out of the store and watched Zhao Liao being led away by Ye Changsheng, and his heart was burning with jealousy. He could no longer hold back and shouted with a ferocious face, "Ye Changsheng, stop right there." Ye Changsheng stopped and turned to face Li Yangxiu, frowning slightly. "What else does Mr. Li want?" Li Yangxiu sneered. "Ye Changsheng, do you dare to compete with me?" Ye Changsheng gently put down Zhao Liao's jade hand and said calmly, "Why not, Zhao?" He was shocked when he saw this and hurriedly waved his hand to set up a barrier to prevent the two people's fight from affecting the pedestrians around. He advised, "Wait a minute, it may not be appropriate to fight here." However, before he finished speaking, Li Yangxiu had already taken the lead. He saw him pinching his hands, and a sharp sword energy broke through the air and pointed directly at Ye Changsheng's throat. Ye Changsheng reacted quickly, and his figure flashed, barely avoiding this fatal blow. He immediately offered a small bronze shield to block in front of him. Li Yangxiu snorted coldly and continuously shot out several sword energies as dense as raindrops. Although Ye Changsheng's small bronze shield was strong, cracks began to appear under this fierce attack. Chapter 198. End of Friendship. Seeing that the situation was not good, Ye Changsheng immediately used his body skills and shuttled back and forth within the barrier, trying to find opportunities to counterattack. With a wave of his right hand, dozens of fireballs roared out and blasted towards Li Yangxiu. Li Yangxiu looked disdainfully and swung his long sword. The sword energy was like a rainbow and destroyed all the fireballs. He sneered, "With this little ability, you dare to compete with me?" Before he finished speaking, Li Yangxiu suddenly accelerated and arrived in front of Ye Changsheng in an instant. He struck out with a palm, condensing powerful spiritual power in his palm, and struck it directly at Ye Changsheng's chest. Ye Changsheng responded hastily, and although he barely blocked the palm, he was still shaken back by the huge impact, and a trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Li Yangxiu was unyielding and bullied him again. This time, he sacrificed his natal magic weapon, a sapphire sword. The sword light flashed, and the sword energy was everywhere, and Ye Changsheng was suddenly in danger. Seeing that Ye Changsheng was about to lose his support, Zhao Liao on the side couldn't help but exclaimed, "Stop." However, Li Yangxiu was already furious and ignored Zhao Liao's shouts. He turned the long sword in his hand, and a sharp sword energy hit Ye Changsheng's vitals at the critical moment. Ye Changsheng finally took action. He waved his sleeves, and a fire dragon appeared out of thin air, roaring and rushing towards Li Yangxiu. This sudden attack caught Li Yangxiu off guard. The fire dragon hit him hard and knocked him away. He fell heavily to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Ye Changsheng looked at the embarrassed Li Yangxiu coldly and said in a deep voice, Master Li, you have gone too far. Li Yao has been betrothed to my son by the Zhao family. It is better for you not to pester me anymore. Otherwise, next time I will, but I won't be merciful. Li Yangxiu's face was gloomy and he sneered, you surnamed Ye, you are bullying the small with your big one. Why don't you give me 30 years, then I will be able to come to you for advice and defeat you. Ye Changsheng laughed loudly after hearing this. 30 years. It's too long. You will never be able to defeat me. By then, you will only be my Jua's defeated general. My son can't even advance to the Zifu. 30 years. Give him another 15 years to advance to the Purple Mansion. When Zhao He heard this, his expression was shocked, as if he understood something. Li Yangxiu didn't believe it at all, and said angrily, the surnamed Ye can only talk big words. I have Xian Lingjun, and it takes 30 years to advance to the Purple Mansion. How can your incompetent son advance to the Purple Mansion in 15 years? It's simply absurd. When Zhao He saw this, he quickly stepped forward and shouted, Li Yangxiu, shut up. You have no idea how powerful the Ye family is. At the auction just now, Daoist Ye spent 7 to 8 million spiritual stones to buy 2 4th level coins. The spiritual fruit was given to Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao respectively. After taking this rare fruit, their cultivation speed is very fast, so there is nothing wrong with what Ye Changsheng said. Li Yangxiu was stunned when he heard this, and his face became even more ugly. Zhao He continued, furthermore, Li Yao's decision to marry Ye Changsheng was made by everyone in the Zhao family, and we also believe that this is the best match for Li Yao. Li Yangxiu, if you pester Li Yao again, I will be rude. After saying that, Zhao He turned to Zhao Liao and said, Liao, you are not allowed to contact Li Yangxiu in the future. You will marry into the Ye family soon, and you must abide by women's ethics. Zhao Liao lowered her head and said yes, then took out a jade pendant from her sleeve and threw it on the ground, saying to Li Yangxiu, Master Li, from now on we will never be sworn in. Please don't pester me again. We will never meet again. After saying that, she turned around and threw herself into Ye Changsheng's arms. When Li Yangxiu saw this scene, his eyes almost burst open, and he was so angry that he vomited a mouthful of blood on the spot. The King He sect disciples behind him saw this and glared angrily. One of them threatened, Ye Changsheng, don't be proud. We will definitely report to Elder Li Zuanqing and let him come to trouble you. You are bullying the small and bullying others. Too much. Ye Changsheng sneered. Feel free to come. I'll be waiting for you at Ye's house. Seeing that Ye Changsheng was not afraid, the King He sect disciples had no choice but to support Li Yangxiu and leave angrily. After they left, Zhao He said to Ye Changsheng, don't worry, fellow Taoist Ye, Li Zuanqing will not come to trouble you. After all, you are also a monk of the Zifu, and he will not care about such a trivial matter. And this time it is indeed Li Yangxiu who has made the mistake first and pester Zhao Liao. I will write a letter and give it to Li Zuanqing to explain clearly. I believe there will be no problem. Hearing this, Ye Changsheng quickly thanked. Thank you, brother Zhao, for helping me. Ye is very grateful. Zhao. He waved his hand. Brother Ye, you're welcome. Our two families are about to become in-laws. This is what we should do. The two of them went back and forth and exchanged polite greetings. After 2 months of long-distance flight, Ye Changsheng and the others finally returned to Huaiyu Kindayan Kingdom. Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng, father and son, did not stay here longer. After bidding farewell to the Zhao family, they flew directly in the direction of Zhao Point. Before leaving, the two families agreed that Zhao Fang, a great monk in the early stages of the Zhao family's Zifu, would lead Zhao Liao to the Ye family to get married 3 months later. A month and a half later, Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng finally returned to the Ye family. Having left home for 7 months, Ye Changsheng immediately summoned the great elder Ye Ji along to deal with the backlog of important clan affairs. Later, He revealed to Ye Jialang the good news that the Ye family was about to marry the Zhao family of the Zifu of Dayan Kingdom, and that Ye Changsheng would marry Zhao Liao. The genius of the Zhao family Xian Lingjun. Ye Changsheng asked Ye Jialang to send invitations as soon as possible and requested that the wedding must be grand. Ye Jialang was overjoyed when he heard this, which meant that the Ye family had the strength to be on par with the established Zifu forces. He immediately summoned the elites of the clan and began to prepare for this grand wedding. Time flies, and 4.5 months have passed in the blink of an eye. The King's Hu Ye family is about to welcome the wedding of Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao. King Hu Peak is decorated with lights and colorful decorations, a scene of joy. The entire King Hu Peak is decorated with a new look. At the foot of the mountain, a wide road paved with spiritual stones winds up, with rare spiritual flowers planted on both sides, emitting bursts of fragrance. Every 100 steps on both sides of the road stands a huge jade statue, engraved with the heroic figures of the ancestors of the Ye family. Halfway up the mountain, a group of palaces with flying eaves and corners are lined up, magnificent and magnificent. A huge red silk is hung on the outer wall of the palace, with the words Ye embroidered with gold thread on it. In front of each palace, there are disciples of the Ye family in uniform guarding, ready to fight. On the top of the mountain, a towering hall stands tall. Dozens of huge array light shields are suspended around the hall, covering the entire hall. These formations can not only resist external enemies, but also adjust the internal spiritual energy concentration to provide the most comfortable environment for the upcoming distinguished guests. At the entrance of the hall, 12 elite disciples of the Ye family wearing golden armor held spears and stood meticulously on both sides inside the hall. Hundreds of sandalwood carved tables and chairs were neatly arranged, and rare spiritual fruits and precious spiritual wines were placed on each table. Chapter 199, Kyang Hua Honey. In the center of the main hall, a 3-foot tall 9-dragon column stands majestically, with the dragon's head pointing toward the sky, breathing out colorful brilliance and majestic momentum. Over the entire King Hu Peak, auspicious clouds condensed by countless colorful spiritual energies linger, making it look like a fairyland from a distance. On a platform on the mountainside, the disciples of the Ye family were arranging flying magic weapons for the wedding ceremony. It was a giant spiritual boat about 100 feet long. The entire body was made of high quality spiritual wood. The hull was inlaid with countless spiritual stones, emitting a faint halo. Ye Jialang stood on the top of the mountain, overlooking all this, with a happy smile on his face. He knew that this wedding was not only a happy event for Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao, but also an important symbol of the rise of the Ye family. At this moment, a disciple hurriedly came to report, "Great Elder, the Zhao family's team has entered the territory of Dazhao and is expected to arrive in 3 days." Ye Jialang nodded and ordered, "Send the order, and the whole family will make final preparations. We must make the guests of the Zhao family feel at home, and show the strength and sincerity of our Ye family." As the wedding date approaches, the entire Ye family is immersed in an atmosphere of joy. 3 days later, the foot of King Hu Peak suddenly became lively. In the distance, a mighty team came slowly, with red flags flapping in the wind. The disciples of the Ye family stopped to watch, marveling at the size and momentum of this team. "Here it comes. The Zhao family's wedding party has arrived," someone shouted. "I saw a team of hundreds of people approaching the mountain gate in an orderly manner. In the center of the team, a gorgeous red sedan stands out, and Zhao Liao must be among them." What's even more striking is that there are many large boxes covered with red cloth in the procession, with faint auras flickering, and they are obviously precious dowries. Ye Changsheng, Zhao Weiner and Ye Changsheng, along with many elders and elite disciples of the Ye family, were already waiting in line at the mountain gate. Seeing this huge procession of sending off relatives, Ye Changsheng secretly admired in his heart. They are worthy of being a wealthy family of the Millennium Purple Mansion. They are really courageous. When the Zhao family's team arrived in front of the mountain gate, a middle-aged man in Chinese clothes walked out of the team. It was Zhao Fang, a great monk in the early Zifu period of the Zhao family. Ye Changsheng immediately stepped forward to greet him, clasped his hands in his fists, and said with a smile, "Brother Zhao, thank you for coming all the way. Ye has been waiting here for a long time. Please come in and say a few words." Zhao Fang also clasped his fists in return and said with a smile on his face, "Brother Ye, you're welcome. Today is a great day for two families to get married. I've worked so hard, so what's the point of suffering? It makes me feel better to be able to send a bride to my family. What an honor." Ye Changsheng laughed when he heard this. Brother Zhao said it well. Today is indeed a happy day for both families. Come, please invite all the distinguished guests of the Zhao family to come in. Under the guidance of Ye Changsheng, Zhao Fang and others slowly entered King Hu Peak Point. The scenery along the way made everyone in the Zhao family praise them repeatedly, and they had a deeper understanding of the strength of the Ye family. Point arriving at the main hall, Ye Changsheng personally poured tea for Zhao Fang. Zhao Fang took the teacup and was about to drink it when his eyes suddenly lit up and he exclaimed, could this be the legendary U-0,027 3rd grade top grade Qingshi U-0,027. Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded. Brother Zhao has a good eye. This tea is indeed Qingshi. I recently purchased it from Xiangong, specifically for entertaining distinguished guests. Zhao Fang took a deep breath and sighed. Brother Ye is so polite. This Qingshi is extremely precious. It is said that this tea grows in the spiritual clouds above the 9 heavens and can only be picked once every 100 years. Not only can it refresh you after drinking it, brain, it can also improve cultivation and purification of impurities in the body. The most rare thing is that it can also enhance the strength of the soul, which is of great benefit to the cultivation of spiritual consciousness. I once heard that at an auction in Holy Peak City, just 1 pound of Qingshi was enough. The price was a whopping 3 million spirit stones. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, Brother Zhao is well informed and his reputation is well deserved. Although this tea is precious, it is perfect for entertaining distinguished guests like Brother Zhao. I still have some stocks here. Brother Zhao might as well take it with him when he goes back to Liang and give another 2 Liang to Brother Zhao he to try. Zhao Fang was overjoyed when he heard this and thanked him profusely. Brother Ye, you are so polite. How dare I? Ye Changsheng waved his hand and interrupted. Brother Zhao, there is no need to refuse. Since the two families are married, this point is not worth mentioning. Zhao Fang nodded gratefully, then took out a gift list from his arms and handed it to Ye Changsheng respectfully. Brother Ye, this is my daughter's dowry gift list. Please take a look at it. Ye Changsheng took the gift list, looked at it carefully, and couldn't help but show surprise. Brother Zhao, your mansion is too generous. Such a generous dowry really makes you feel uneasy, fearing that the reception will not be good. Zhao Fang smiled and said, Brother Ye is serious. It is my Zhao family's honor for Yeo to marry into the Ye family. These dowries are just a slight expression of affection. Ye Changsheng handed the wedding gift list to the groomsman at the side. The groomsman was the person who presided over the wedding. He said, please, the best man will read out the wedding gift list. The best man took the gift list, walked to the center of the hall, and sang loudly, sing the wedding gift list for Miss Zhao. A pair of second order high grade U-0,027 double dragon playing with pearls U-0,027 jade drew IE. 2 sets of second level mid grade U-0,027 5 element body protection U-0,027 robes. A pair of second order high grade U-0,027 Kayankan bags U-0,027 storage magic weapons. A pair of second order top quality U-0,027 Ziksha sword U-0,027 flying swords. Second grade high grade U-0,027 black ice mirror U-0,027 defensive weapon with 2 sides. A pair of second level mid grade U-0,027 fire phoenix hairpin U-0,027 attack weapons. Second grade high quality U-0,027 9 turn resurrection pill U-0,027 10 bottles. 20 bottles of the second level top quality U-0,027 solid Yuan U-0,027. 30 bottles of second grade top grade U-0,027 Kinksin U-0,027. 4 sets of second level mid grade U-0,027 spirit gathering array plates U-0,027. Second grade High grade U0027 5 element spiritual stones U0027 cost 1000 each. 15 bottles of second level top quality U0027 PO and AN U0027. The best man reported nearly 100 dowry items in one breath, each of which was a valuable second level immortal cultivation resource, which made everyone present marvel point. When the best man reported for duty at the 108th, his voice suddenly rose an octave. Third level low grade U0027 Kyang healing me U0027. 3 bottles. As soon as these words came out, the whole hall was in an uproar. Everyone was whispering to each other and talking about it. Even some elders of the Ye family couldn't help but gasp. Upon seeing this, Xiao Fang smiled proudly and said, "Don't be surprised. This Kyang spiritual honey is a specialty of our flower language peak. The entire flower language peak only produces 6 bottles every year. This honey contains rich spiritual energy from heaven and earth. Purple. The monks can effectively improve their cultivation after taking it, and the effect is several times better than ordinary cultivation pills. The most rare thing is that it has no erysipelas and can be taken for a long time without harming the body." After hearing this, Ye Changsheng quickly raised his hands and said, "Brother Xiao, my Ye family really deserves to receive such precious spiritual honey." Xiao Fang smiled and waved his hand. "Brother Ye, you don't have to be polite. Since the two families are married, this is not worth mentioning. Besides, if the spiritual honey is given to Ye Zion's nephew, doesn't it mean that it is still in the hands of his own family?" Chapter 200 Wedding, Part 2. When Ye Changsheng heard this, he no longer refused, and said with a smile, "In that case, it would be disrespectful for Ye to refuse. Brother Xiao's gift, Ye will definitely remember it in his heart. If you can be of use to Ye in the future, just ask." Xiao Fang nodded and said, "Brother Ye, you're welcome. Since the two families are married, we should work together to create glory." As the dowry list was read out, the entire wedding ceremony officially kicked off. Ye Changsheng and Xiao Fang had a great conversation, and their happy atmosphere permeated the entire Qinghu Peak Point. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly, and Qinghu Peak was still bustling with activity. The Xiao family's send-off team was preparing to return to Dayan Kingdom, and Ye Changsheng saw them off in person. Ye Changsheng once again held Xiao Fang's hand and sincerely expressed his gratitude. "Brother Xiao, thanks to the strong support of your Xiao family, the wedding was so successful this time. Ye can't thank you enough." Xiao Fang smiled and said, "Brother Ye is serious. Since the two families are married, they should help each other." Ye Changsheng smiled and took out an exquisite jade box from the storage ring and handed it to Xiao Fang. "Brother Xiao, this is a little thought from my Ye family. Please accept it." Xiao Fang quickly took the jade box and said politely, "Brother Ye is so polite. We already received a generous gift yesterday." This, Ye Changsheng waved his hand. "Brother Xiao, please don't refuse. This is my Ye family's wish. I hope Brother Xiao won't dislike it." Seeing Ye Changsheng's persistence, Xiao Fang stopped refusing. He opened the jade box and took a look and was stunned. There were 8 crystal clear heavenly spirit fruits lying in the jade box, each one exuding strong spiritual energy fluctuations. This shineling fruit," Xiao Fang exclaimed. "Brother Ye, this is too precious." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Brother Xiao, you don't have to be polite. Since the two families are married, this little thought is not worth mentioning." Xiao Fang took a deep breath and sighed. "Brother Ye is really generous. No wonder Brother Ye is confident that nephew Ye will advance to the Purple Mansion stage within 15 years. It seems that Brother Ye has got a great opportunity." Ye Changsheng waved his hand quickly. "Brother Xiao is serious. There is no big opportunity. It's just a lucky chance to get some small opportunities." Xiao Fang gave Ye Changsheng a meaningful look and said no more. He put away the jade box with excitement, led everyone in the Xiao family to say goodbye, and left. Watching the Xiao family's team go away, Ye Changsheng secretly estimated that the value of these 8 heavenly spirit fruits was enough to be worth 2 to 3 times the Xiao family's dowry. Xiao Fang must be overjoyed at this moment. In the blink of an eye, The third day came, and the official day of Ye Chansheng's wedding arrived. King Hu Peak was bustling with activity, and there was an endless stream of guests from all forces. The banquet carefully prepared by the Ye family filled the entire Peak Square, with all kinds of delicacies and fine wines available. The worship ceremony was successfully completed under the witness of everyone. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao, dressed in wedding clothes, walked hand in hand to Ye Changsheng and Zhao Weina. Ye Changsheng knelt down respectfully, held the teacup in both hands, and first offered tea to his father. Ye Changsheng, my son offers a cup of tea to his father. I wish him good health and continuous improvement. Ye Changsheng happily took the teacup and took a sip. Good boy, my father wishes you a happy wedding and an early breakthrough in the purple mansion. Ye Changsheng also served tea to his mother Zhao Weina. My son offers his mother a cup of tea, wishing her eternal youth and long life. Zhao Weina took the teacup with tears in her eyes. Good boy, mother wishes you to grow old together and have a son soon. When it was Zhao Liao's turn to serve tea, she knelt down gracefully, held the teacup in both hands, and first offered tea to her father-in-law Ye Changsheng. My daughter offers a cup of tea to my father-in-law. I wish my father-in-law to be as blessed as the East China Sea and live as long as the southern mountains. Ye Changsheng smiled and took the teacup. Good boy, I wish you a happy life in the Ye family and your cultivation to a higher level. Zhao Liao also served tea to her mother-in-law Zhao Weina. My daughter would like to offer a cup of tea to her mother-in-law. I wish her eternal youth, longevity and good health. Zhao Weina looked at Zhao Liao lovingly and took the teacup. Good boy, my mother-in-law wishes you love and harmony and a child for the Ye family as soon as possible. After the tea ceremony, the guests came forward to congratulate one after another. The entire King Hu Peak was immersed in a sea of joy, with people drinking and laughing. As night fell, Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao entered the bridal chamber amid the blessings of everyone. In the early morning of the fourth day, sunlight poured into the room through the window lattice. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao got up to freshen up, put on new clothes, and prepared to meet their parents-in-law. The two came to the lobby of Yuan. Yuan was a newly built manor ordered by Ye Changsheng in the past few months. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Weina had already taken their seats in the middle of the hall. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao knelt down respectfully and saluted. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Weina smiled and took the teacups offered by them and took a sip. Zhao Weina looked at Zhao Liao and nodded with satisfaction. Good boy, my mother-in-law sees that you are talented and have a peerless appearance. You are really a blessing to my son. Zhao Liao lowered her head shyly. Mother-in-law, thank you. Liao will work hard to practice and live up to the expectations of the Ye family. Zhao Weina took Zhao Liao's hand lovingly. Silly boy, you are already very good. Changsheng, you have to take good care of Liao. Do you understand? Ye Changsheng nodded solemnly. My son understands and will treat Liao well. Zhao Weina took out a pair of exquisite bracelets from the storage ring and handed them to Zhao Liao. Liao, this is a meeting gift from your mother-in-law. They are a pair of second-level top-quality magic weapon bracelets. I hope you like them. Zhao Liao took the bracelet in surprise and thanked her repeatedly. Thank you, mother-in-law. Liao likes it very much. Ye Changsheng smiled and took out a jade box and handed it to Zhao Liao. Liao, this is a meeting gift from my father. I hope it will be helpful to your cultivation. Zhao Liao took the jade box respectfully and opened it gently. I saw two spiritual fruits lying inside. One was a second order spiritual fruit and the other was a third order heavenly spiritual fruit. Zhao Liao was stunned for a moment. As a direct descendant of the Zhao family, she certainly knows these two precious spiritual fruits. For a moment, her mind was in a trance and she vaguely understood why Ye Changsheng was able to advanced to the third level of foundation building at the age of 23 with his dual spiritual roots. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng said softly, Liao, these two spiritual fruits will be of great benefit to your cultivation. I hope you can break through the middle stage of foundation building as soon as possible. Zhao Liao took a deep breath and said solemnly, thank you for your love, my father-in-law. Li Yao will work hard to practice and live up to the expectations of my father-in-law and the Ye family. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction, and then warned, Li Yao, don't let the matter about the spirit fruit be spread to outsiders. The two of you practice well, and contribute to the future of the Ye family. Ye Shengaiu and Zhao Liao responded in unison, yes, we understand. In this way, the marriage of Ye Shengaiu and Zhao Liao came to a successful conclusion. The Ye family was immersed in joy. Later, Ye Changsheng summoned Ye Shengaiu alone in Changsheng Garden. Ye Changsheng directly handed Ye Shengaiu a jade box. Jua, this is a wedding gift for you. Please open it and take a look. Ye Changsheng said mysteriously. Ye Shengaiu excitedly opened the talisman paper sealed on it, and inside the jade box was a sparkling white spirit fruit with compelling aura. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.